Okay, so this is the full Final Fantasy set review. This is part 2 in general, but it might be labeled part 3 on YouTube. We've already done the set overview, the shape of the format, generally what you should be looking for in Final Fantasy as you approach your draft and sealed. And today we are doing specific cards. So we're going to be covering all of the blue common and uncommons and white uncommons and uncommons today. And we will tomorrow is early access, so it's a streamer event, so we'll be drafting all day. Come by if you want to see me prove some of these concepts. And then Thursday, we will finish the set review very quickly in the evening. I'm also going to be putting out an article for this. So, in order to evaluate these cards, we use the Scuffle review system. So, I give everything an average value. It's going to be a number between 1 and 10. A 1 is a card you should never play. A 2 is a card you should do your best not to play. 3 is replaceable. 4s are solid. Nothing wrong with them. Your deck will probably have a lot of 4s. A 5 is a strong card. You want to try and get as many of your 4s to 5s as you can. A 6 is a card you will always play in a given color or deck / archetype. A 7 is a card that pulls you into that color or deck or archetype. An 8 is a card you're going to do some work to play. Maybe it's off colors. Maybe you'll splash it. Maybe you'll have to make the rest of your deck a little bit worse to accommodate that one card. A 9 is a card that you're this color now. You are doing the thing that this card wants you to do because it's that good. And a 10 is a card you will always play no matter what. They're very rare. You might get 1 or 2 10s per set. In addition to the average value of a card, I also give every card a floor value. That's the worst a card will usually be. The ceiling value, that's the best a card can usually be. And then an amount of effort required to bridge that gap. So these numbers are meant to be a guide to help you draft the way you want to draft, the way you know how to draft and like to draft. And maybe if I give it a higher number, you can take a look at it and either change your opinion, or you can talk to me and change my opinion. These numbers are general pick order, and I find this to be this is how I think about cards. I find this to be a very useful guide to pick order and build prioritization. And it's especially useful for a set like Final Fantasy. Every card, this is a very synergistic set. You want your cards to work with your other cards. And so you'll see sometimes lower numbers because they require, and high effort because it requires a lot of other cards to make it work, or lower numbers and higher effort. It's variable. So first we're going to go through what all of the artifacts you want are. So in this set, blue-white is artifacts. It cares about having lots of artifacts. Well, there's not a lot of like affinity for artifact stuff. There's not equal number of artifacts you play, but there is a lot of stuff that's if you control an artifact, if you control 2 artifacts, or whenever an artifact comes into play. So it's not put 10 artifacts into play and keep them in play. The ones that back in Mirrodin and stuff, a lot of times if you had to sacrifice an artifact to do a thing, you were very upset. You wanted to have 6 artifacts in play. This Final Fantasy isn't like that. You just need a certain number of them in your deck, and then it's okay if they die, and some cards even reward you for having them die. So generally, your pick order needs to be the good artifacts. Like, we're going to look at what those are. But know whether an artifact is a good artifact or a fine or like replaceable artifact. You need to pick the good ones really high, and you're going to need to know what those are. We'll talk about what those are today. Then the payoffs, the cards that reward you for having a lot of artifacts or for them coming into play. There's a few really good ones. Titus, the Signpost Uncommon, is just okay. But he's good in the more aggressive versions. Then you need your removal. There's a lot of interesting blue removal spells and good white removal spells. Some of them, like there's one that's an Oblivion Ring artifact that makes mana. I count that among the good artifacts. But then you need your other removal spells. And then you need your other artifacts. So there's lots of filler artifacts. There's 2 mana 1/3 that's an artifact, 2 mana 2/1 that's an artifact, 2 mana 2/1 equipment that's an artifact. Those are your filler artifacts. And just because this is the first color we're doing today, that's not all of the cards you need. Those are just the 4 most important types of cards you need. After that, you can grab other things, accommodate your rares and synergy set, build your synergies. Your artifact creatures are important because you have to play a game of Magic. You need your 2-drops, your 3-drops, you need your evasive threats. But you need, like, that's the slots where it's easiest to fit more artifacts. Titus wants a lot of artifacts to be cast after he's in play. If you have 6 artifacts that aren't creatures that are just in there because they draw a card or do a thing, then you are going to end up with too many non-creature spells. Your deck's not going to do enough. You need to replace as many of the cards that a normal draft deck needs with artifacts. Then you need to figure out whether you're evasive, like whether you're putting down a flyer or a 2 and powering them up with maybe some equipment or some +1/+1 counters and winning that way. Maybe you have some unblockable creatures, or are you going wide? Are you putting out a ton of creatures, like lots of artifact creatures, and lots of even the equipments will make 1/1s or a couple 1/1s. And there's some engines that make a few bodies every turn. And you can use that to win the game by just going around your opponent's blockers. And lastly, what are your mana sinks? So in some of these colors, you know what your mana sinks are. Like in red-white, the equipment deck, you know that you're spending your late game moving equipment around. You know that you're paying 5 mana to equip something to a creature that needs to break through. In blue-white, you have a lot more options. And there's not necessarily going to be a theme for them, but mana sinks is going to end up feeling like a slot. So we'll look at a 1/1, you can pay 3 mana to get another copy of it out of your deck. We'll look at some of the blue card draw spells today. Maybe you're just drawing a ton of cards and putting down a ton of cheap threats. Maybe you are putting mana into creating bodies. Maybe you're flashing spells back. Maybe you are equipping things. You aren't going to run out of things to do with your mana in the late game, but you might find yourself with a deck with too many choices that feel weak because you have all these late game mana sinks without real board presence as a result of them. So just be aware of where you're spending your mana after turn 5 or 6. Blue-black graveyard. So I kind of love this archetype. This is an archetype we see before, but usually it's like fill your graveyard up with spells, fill your graveyard up with creatures, fill your graveyard up with artifacts. No, it's just general graveyard payoffs. There's blue uncommon that flashes back spells. There's lots of good looters and surveil creatures. And they did a good job. They made it feel a lot more interesting. So you need your win condition first for this. Like, you can take good cards like Lock Cold that generate value or hold the board down, but you got to know how you're winning the game, because that's not a free thing in this archetype. So yesterday we looked at some artifacts. There's like a 7 mana 6/6 Vigilance Trample Reach. That's a good win con. It's not the win con you want. You'd rather have a bomb rare, or you'd rather have a ton of removal, or just some evasive creatures, things that break through. But like, you have to know how you're winning before anything else. There's a ton of removal available in blue or black, so you want a lot of removal, but these need to swap. Removal is less important than card advantage in blue and black. You need your engine or card advantage first, then removal, then blockers. So like Lock Hold is a bit of an exception. It's a great blocker because it's an attacker first, but you got to be able to block, because this is a set where not every creature is a threat, and you're not going to want to spend a spell to kill every creature. But you do, like, Lock Coal means that you don't have to spend spells to kill your opponent's 2/2s. That's a big deal. Based on what your blockers are, you know what you need to kill. There's not a ton of flyers in this set. If you have a few of the good flying blockers, you don't need to kill the flyers. The flyers don't get very big. If you have a ton of ground blockers, you need to focus your spells. Like if you have a bunch of Lock Coals, then you need to focus your spells on the larger creatures. So you want to pick your blockers, and then when you play, you need to be aware of what your blockers block. As you go, you need to be aware of how you're using your graveyard. There's a lot of good ways to do it, but like, so there's blue creatures that return instants and sorceries to your hand or flash them back. They don't work well with the flashback spells. If you are just milling yourself out and using your graveyard in a bunch of different ways, that's fine, but having some direction helps a lot, because the difference between one of the creatures that costs less mana for the number of creatures in your graveyard and one of the cards with flashback and one of the cards that flashback or removal spell, it ends up being pretty big, and it's a decision you're going to have to make as soon as pack 2. And then figure out how you're winning. Like, know how you're winning from the beginning of the draft, know how you're winning while you play. It changes what you kill, it changes what your counter spells hit, it changes what you discard when you're looting, and it changes how you surveil. Like, you need to be playing towards your win condition the whole time you're playing blue-black. Oh, grinding your opponent out of resources all the way is a legitimate win condition. Killing every creature they play, gaining a little bit of life, and killing all and making them discard their hand is something you can do in blue black, and it's effective. All right, grab a Beldum. Blue red big spells, love the way they did spells for blue red in this. Instead of just being non-creature spells, it's specifically non-creature spells on which you spent 4 or more mana. Shantoto is a really good example of this. She hits pretty hard. She doesn't hit very hard with small spells, but if you're drawing cards off of her, you're probably going to win that game. You need your payoffs first. So if you want to be blue red spells, take Shantoto. There's a few, the other signpost uncommon is a really good one. There's a lot of ways to just generate a huge amount of value from your big spells, and then you're going to need to figure out how you're getting to the point where you're casting those spells. So you want your payoffs first, then you want your big spells, then you want your card advantage, and then you want your win con. You don't need to take your win con as high just because of the sheer amount of value you generate casting some of these spells. There's a blue spell, it's 2 mana, surveil 1, draw a card, 4 mana, flash it back. If you play 4 mana, if you do the full line of that, then you have surveilled 2, drawn 2, drawn 3 because of here, and a hit for 6. Compared to blue black, your win condition happens as a result of your advantage engines rather than needing the win condition first. The blue black card advantage engines will dig you to how you win the game. The blue red card advantage engines will win you the game. Figure out what spells are good, and this will change over the course of the draft. If you first pick Shantoto, then all of your non-creature spells are fine. The ones that are 4 or more are good, but as you go, maybe a second Shantoto drastically increases the value of your 4 mana spells. Maybe you pick up your Octopus and now you need an 8 mana spell. Figure out how valuable each of them are to you, and that will influence your pick order. You're going to see a lot of high values on these blue cards, but a lot of there's a lot of, so the white cards in this set tend to have really close floors and ceilings. The blue cards tend to have floors and ceilings that are further apart, and you have to evaluate those as you go. Blue is a little tough to play in this format, but it's pretty good. What is your curve, and do your non-creature spells line up with it? So some of these payoffs for paying 4, 5, 6 mana for a spell are very cheap. They're 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana, and some of them are very expensive. They're 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana. So if your deck is mostly the Octopus at 2 mana and the 1/3 blocker that becomes unblockable at 2 mana and Shantoto, then you really don't want any non-creature spells underneath that. Like, you're going to look at some of the curves of these decks, and it's going to be lots of 2 and 3 mana creatures, lots of 4, 5, 6 mana spells, and then you'll see builds with a couple 1 and 2 and 3 drops and lots of 4, 5, and 6 mana creatures, some of which will make creatures themselves. Your curve is something that needs to incorporate these spells. So if you look at normal decks, like if you even look at the Neon Dynasty draft we just did, I was complaining I have too many 4s. I had so many 4 drops, and I had to think my deck a little bit because of that. But like, I didn't count my removal spells as a 4 drop. I didn't count my Spinning Wheel Kick, which is green double X, as a 4 drop. But you have to do that in your curve with this particular spell stack. Your non-creature spells need to be counted in the same curve as your creature spells. And then finally, are you winning are you just trying to outvalue them, or are you aiming for a kill? And this is more about the red portion of things, because the red burn spells, like there's some that make black mages, and there's some which ping your opponent. Like, this is more of a question of how many cards are left in your opponent's hand when they die. Like, you can aim to burn them out, to hit them with unblockable creatures and flyers, to reduce their life total to 0, or you can aim to answer all of their spells and just outvalue them until they can't do anything against a few creatures that you have left. And you will have decks that can do both, but on the red side of things, like, there are cards that are just to deal damage to your opponent that directly translate to that, especially if you're splashing black. Like, I think Grixis spells is going to be a good thing, but it's not going to be as controlling as blue red spells, which is fun. I like that it's good design. All right, so not really sure what to call this one. It's green blue ramp, but it's more green blue lands. There's a lot of good green landfall cards, and there's a lot of good things to ramp into, but your lands kind of just have some inherent value. So I love this Ignis Scientia. It's a 3-mana 2/2 ETB. Look at the top 6 cards, and you get a land. It's a cool card, and then you also have mana sinks. So this is a set full of really good mana sinks. In the past, you've had these blue-green ramp decks where you have like they feel all or nothing. You hit your ramp spells and you hit your 7-drop 2 turns ahead of schedule and win the game, or you don't and you have a 6-drop and a 7-drop and you just don't get to cast them because of how interesting and strong the mana sinks are. You've got flashback spells. You have spells that are 2 mana to cast with 6 mana flashbacks. You also have lots of cards with cycling and useful non-basic lands. You can ramp first, and you don't have to put in these high-risk creatures. Like the other blue-green Signpost uncommon is a 7-mana 8/8, locks the thing down and gains a bunch of life. It's really good, but it'll be stuck in your hand a lot of the time. But blue-green ramp is designed interestingly this time, and that's because blue has interesting things to ramp to. Blue has draw spells that you can ramp into and creatures with expensive activated abilities that you can ramp into, and green has landfall. So there's more value to ramping than just casting your big spells ahead of schedule. And a big part of that too is your job select equipment. Blue-green is actually great at throwing those around, even if those equipment are a little bit weaker. So generally you need to take your ramp spells first. Those are your highest priority. That's just because of how few good ramp spells there are. Like Ignis is a really good ramp spell. I actually kind of want to go and bump him up a grade. Then you need your interaction. There's not as much interaction in blue-green, but there is really good blue interaction. It just tends to have a built-in self-destruct on the blue interaction spells. Then your payoffs for having lots of mana, and then you need flyers and reach. Like, you're going to have so many games where you drop a huge creature and then your opponent, or a really good mana sink, and your opponent just kills you in the air. Make sure you have the reach creatures are really good in this set, so make sure you have a few. And then lastly, and often alternatively to the flyers and reach cards, is your splash. So blue-green is great at splashing because a lot of the blue towns you need to pick really high anyway. So like if I am a blue-green deck in pack 1 and I've taken 2 of the blue-red or blue-black towns just because I need those cards, and then I see a good black card, then I already have the lands for this. Like this is an archetype where you're going to end up taking your enabling lands you're fixing before you take the cards that you're actually splashing. Yeah. So generally figure out how you're using your lands, what you're ramping into. Then you need to figure out where your card advantage is. And keyword big is a legitimate form of card advantage. A 7-mana 8/8, a 6-mana 7/7. Those are card advantage in this set. Just shutting down a Saga for 3 turns because your opponent can't attack into your large creature. That's card advantage. And then finally, what's the splash and how did you get here? I talked about that one first. Hey Lion, good to see ya. Yeah, so my first thought when I saw Ignis is that he was eating people. Like, because I don't know this character. I didn't play his game, I guess. But it, like, exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, make a food. That sounds like he's a cannibal. But apparently he just cooks what he kills. And, you know, is it cannibalism if he is equally willing to cook a pig and a human? Who are we to say? I mean, it is cannibalism, but it's fine. All right, on to the cards. Up first, Cargo Ship. Apparently he's from 12 or whatever the last MMO was before 13. So 11 or 12. I wasn't playing a lot of JRPGs then. Well, so hey Thane. All right, so Cargo Ship. This card I came back and revised the grade. It's actually just kind of great in this set. The mana only for artifacts is solid. It can be really good. Like this is a mana rock for artifacts at 2 mana. That's almost playable. The 2/3 Flying Vigilance Crew 1 is just good. There's not a lot of flyers in this set, and this eats a lot of the flyers. It eats all the 2/2 flyers. But this is, for all intents and purposes, an artifact creature that not dying to sorcery speed removal is a bonus. It's not. This is one of the vehicles where being a vehicle is a bonus, is a feature, not a bug. It's very good. Oh, I did not know that, Lion. Apparently it says which game it's from at the bottom. But yeah, this is a good card, a good body. I'm gonna be I am in any of the artifacts deck is great, is a 6. And any of the non-artifacts decks, it's still a 4. That's why it averages out to a 5. Solid card. Ah, very cool. All right, our next combat tutorial, low key. Oh, I kind of want to bump this up just because I don't want to undersell how important this card is. I'll bump up. Like, this is a set where card advantage is difficult. It's tough to have card advantage. I'll play all 4 copies of this if I have 4 copies of this. Draw 2 cards for 3 mana is something that I want to do in this set. It's pretty strong. But that counter is going to be worth a 3rd card very often. This is a set, if you look back at our stats, if we look at the toughnesses of our creatures, we're at a new era of creature density. Like, so the toughnesses are so uniform, the sizes are so uniform in this set. There's so many 2/2s, 2/3s, 3/3s that ++1 counter is going to enable an attack you didn't have before, and that's worth a card. So this is 3 mana, draw 2.5 cards, as long as you have creatures before it. That's why, like, it's hard to put it higher than a 6, but this is a set where divination would be very good, and the counter is a useful bonus. If you have any takeaways from here that you want to say, hey, that will give you a huge advantage, it's playing this card. Yeah, I gave it a 6 with a ceiling of 6. That floor of a 4 is if you're not ever using the counter, or if you aren't able, you need 2-drops. Like, you need a lot of 2-drops to play this card. But if you have the 2-drops, it's really going to be great for you. Yeah, this is one of the 2 cards that I have the highest difference in opinion on from other combat content creators, but you should probably be playing this card. I caught up on content creators today, and I'm like, oh, I think all of you are wrong in this set. Dragoon's Wyvern. This one's getting a revisit. Like, the flying body is very important and useful, but it does kind of get nearly every other flyer in the set eats it. That 1/1 is valuable but not free. I think I am keeping the rating, but I'm upping the difficulty. Like, it should be good. The 1 toughness is rough. Like, I had it higher because this is something we see a lot. 3 mana 2/2 flyer, make a 1/1 tends to be one of the better cards in this set. This time the Drake type is not useful, but the hero type is. There's a few things that pump heroes, and having 2 bodies is really useful, especially if you've got a few equipment or a bunch of cards like Combat Tutorial. But I don't. There's 2 sweepers at uncommon in this set, both of which hit this, and both of which are quite good. Like, you play them, period. But the bodies are relevant, especially with equipment floating around. Like, I think it might just not go into the artifacts deck. This one's getting a revisit. Like, I think it's solid. You're not gonna be upset if you have to play it, but I don't know that we're picking it high. Like, I am going to be taking Cargo Ship over it, and that's a unique thing for this set. Am I taking the next one over it often? I think I'm dropping this. This is one that I've already changed the grade on 3 times. I think, but we'll be back. We'll be back for the Wyvern. I have to play with this one. So after tomorrow, I might revise it. But yeah, the 1 toughness does make it weak, and the body gets blocked by everything. I'm leaving it. We're revisiting that one. All right, Dreams of Laguna. This card's kind of great. Because it is a cheap spell that digs you deeper and is inherent card advantage. But the flashback is 4 mana. It works with all of your mana value 4 or greater. And that makes it pretty good. This is a good draw spell. So in your dedicated spells deck or control graveyard decks, this is a 5. In the rampier, more normal decks that just uses the card draw spell, it's closer to a 3. And it'll usually play somewhere between. The more cards that I have, like Shantoto, like if I first pick a Shantoto, I'm taking every single copy of this card. Yeah, I bet that this was even 3 mana to start, and then it was better at 4 mana. Like, I think it probably plays better at 4 mana than 3 just because of the themes of this set. Yeah, so normally I would say 2 rectangles isn't bad, but the only thing that really rewards having a hero token is, will also pump artifact creatures. It pumps artifact creatures and heroes. So like, and I do think this is a solid card. I just don't think you want it in every blue deck. So it's definitely not a 6. I'm almost thinking like, do I put it back at 5? This is the one that I'm putting it back to 5 because I'll play it in most blue decks and it's a good card. Eject. This is just very expensive for this effect. It's not, you don't care about the can't be countered. Bounce a permanent, draw a card is solid, especially because you can hit your own, but not many things. There's not a lot of decks that want this. This is just a reasonable bounce spell. Being 4 mana, like blue mana value 4 or greater decks want this card. They want bounce a permanent, draw a card. Other decks don't. Other decks will play it. Other decks get to treat this like a bad removal spell. This is a good removal spell in mana value 4 or greater decks, and a bad removal spell in other decks. But it's a cool card. I like that they printed it. Ether. So I went through all the instants and sorceries. This card doesn't have anything that you are actively interested in. So the fail case of this is having to take a turn off in order to cast 2 removal spells next turn. Maybe you want this card because it's an artifact, but if you are playing this in an artifacts deck, you're going to have fewer spells that you wanted to copy. If you are somehow a big artifact spell deck like Shantoto, and you want to use the elixir to the ether to trigger Shantoto, and also copy a spell the next turn that is very strong, then it's still not going to be great. There are rare instants and sorceries that make this card good. And the fact is, like, your fail case of having to take a turn off and then getting to cast 2 removal spells the following turn is not the worst, but the upside isn't there to make this better than a removal spell, which is not going to be terribly hard to get. So like in other sets where removal was really hard to come by, you might have been willing to play the ether just to stretch your removal a little further. But in this set, you'll usually have to cut a removal spell or a card draw spell for the ether. So unless you have regular access to card draw and regular access to removal, and you want the option for the ether, it's not going to be worth it. The big spells at rare and mythic make this card worth it. If you have those, go ahead and grab the ethers, and even then you're still going to want the mana value 4 or greater and or artifact payoffs to make it worth your while. But it's not homeless. Like this is not a 0 playability situation. Just don't take it before you have the tools to make it playable. Like if you have some ejects and some Shantotos and some Tituses and a rare spell, then you can play it. And since those are all cards you want anyway, I don't want to tell you it's never going to happen, but it's not going to happen very often. Ice Flan. It's fine. Like, this is a flexible large spell. Locking a creature down on a 5/4 is like almost worth 6 mana, but not really. The island cycling is a nice bonus, but you just don't have to take this card that high. There's better things you can do with blue mana, with large amounts of blue mana, and you only want this card for the flexibility, both because of the island cycling and because of the 6 mana. Like, it's a 6 mana 5/4 that stuns a creature with island cycling, but there's no bonus text on this card. There's nothing that cares about elementals, oozes, creatures with 6 mana value, and it's difficult. Like, you could end up caring about creature cards in your graveyard, but blue-black doesn't really do that. That's more of a green-black thing. You also don't get to run this. So like, I would play this a lot more often at 5 colorless and 1 blue, because then you can use it to splash blue source. You can play 2 copies of this card in an island. But ultimately, it's going to be just weaker than what you're doing at 2 mana or 6 mana, so you have to really need both effects. That should be a 3. But yeah, you have to need both effects, and that's not a very common thing. All right, Ice Magic. This card is great what a cool way to do a blue removal spell. So like 2 mana, bounce a creature is going to be average most of the time. But you do have creatures of your own that you want to pick up. You can use this to stay alive, and then you can also make this card cost 4 mana. Like, this is so flexible. You can make this spell cost 4 mana when you need your spells to cost 4 or more mana. You're not going to use Blizzaga very often. 8 mana to shuffle a creature in is like fine, but 4 mana tuck a creature is good. That's something that's great in this format. Like, 4 mana tuck a creature or 2 mana bounce a creature is a really fantastic set of effects that almost every blue deck wants. If you're a blue-green ramp deck or a blue-red spells deck, you want this card very badly. It's going to be a 5 for you. If you're a blue-black control deck, then there's going to be better options for removal spells, but sometimes you'll still need to pick up a removal spell and you want that flexibility. The more card draw you have in your deck, the better this spell gets, because this unsummon effect, Disperse, is better when you're drawing a lot of cards and you need to be able to multi-spell in a turn. Yeah, I gave it a 5, ceiling of a 5, floor of 4, and it's a pretty low effort spell. This is just a solid blue removal spell. Ooh, so 2 mana, 2/1 flyer. This is just something you want to be doing in this format. The Surveil is a nice bonus. Surveilling on every attack is pretty good. If you are a dedicated graveyard deck, this is going to be a 6 for you. If you otherwise, this is going to be a 5 for you, and it's just usually going to play pretty well as a 2/1 flyer. Yeah. Like, flyers are just good in this format. I haven't seen a 1/3 reach. If there's a lot of 1/3 reaches, or a lot of deal 1 to everything in addition to the uncommon ones at rare, I'll revise this. I haven't finished looking at all the rares yet. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy with this rating. It's something that blue just wants to do. So like these bigger blue spells decks, they want to do really good question, Lion. So these blue-red spells decks, they want to curve out. They want to play their 2-drop, their 3-drop, and then be playing spells for the rest of the game. And then later in the game, they're going to play things like draw 4 cards, and you need those spells to be cheaper. The reason that I was going to bump the Dragoon's Wyvern down to a 4 is I will be taking the Pixie over the Drake every time in every blue deck. I think it's just better. That 1 mana difference is huge because your curve matters so much. And in a lot of slower formats, like if you've been playing a lot of the mixed up drafts, it doesn't matter that much. You want the more impactful spell no matter what, right? In a mixed up draft, because you're paying at a certain point of the game. Like in mixed up draft, the 2 mana versus 3 mana really only matters on the early turns of the game. But this is a format where you're so much more likely to be twin spelling late into the game that a lower mana cost, higher impact card is a valuable thing. Being able to, we'll talk about it more as we get to some of the draw spells, but the nature of the draw spells and some of the bigger spells means that you need to be able to stabilize with these recovery turns. And 2 bodies on 1 card does matter, but not for every deck. The Surveil is also really very valuable. Like being able to surveil your where are you? Being able to surveil your Dreams of Laguna into the graveyard is a valuable thing. You want that in the graveyard, but also just the nature of the cards that I consider to be most powerful in blue really reward curving out and having a 2-drop. Like the difference, like if Combat Tutorial Dragoon's Wyvern is not good, it sets you back a whole turn. But Combat Tutorial and Pixie is a great opening hand. I will keep that with any 3 lands or 2 lands. Like it just enables a lot of stuff. All right, Magic Damper. So this card is solid. The nature of removal in this set and how close the sizes are means that this is a flexible trick. So this card is just Shore Up. Same with Snakes. Shore Up, Snakeskin Veil are very format dependent. This is a format where the removal is solid and tends to kill a creature outright, and combats tend to be close. So I love the combat tricks in this set that deal with a removal spell or win you a combat. And like, these cards are bad if they only do one or the other. Like this is bad if it's a negate, and this is bad if it's give a creature +1/+1. But the flexibility of it being both is valuable. And you get to use this as a removal spell often enough. Like, your sizes matter so much. Just untapping a creature at the right time to make a key block, it's going to feel really good. It does have diminishing returns. I don't usually want the second copy of it, but I'm really happy with the first copy of this in most of my blue decks. And it comes back to how good some of the blue card draw spells are. Like, when you're spending so much time padding your hand, adding cards to it, these 1 mana spells that have the potential to be high impact will be really good. Yeah, and the untap is very relevant in this format. Like, there's a lot of stun counters. Like, taking stun counter off is relevant, but just surprise blocking is really good. Okay, the Prima Vista. So you might notice a lot of the cards with flying are a little higher than they would usually be. This card is a 5-power flyer. That's pretty much it. The crew or the 4 mana is nice because generally what you'll see in vehicle decks is you don't end up having room for non-creature spells. But this is a non-creature spell that triggers your mana value 4 or greater non-creature triggers. And like, it is both a payoff and an enabler, and the 5-power flyer is great. It also works out that a lot of the removal spells in this set that deal 3. Yeah, the crew is pretty cheap, but if we do like Oracle 3, the best deal 3 damage spells like Suplex are sorcery speed. So this sorcery speed Suplex is normally what I would be using to evaluate a 5/3 flyer. And normally I would say don't play a 5/3 flyer because your opponent can kill it for 2 mana. It is understated for a vehicle, but it doesn't matter for the context of this set, Ranger. And that's because most of the flyers in this set have 2 power, and most of the cards in this set that deal damage of 3 or greater are sorceries. So if my opponent pays 4 mana to kill it at instant speed, that's fine. But they're not going to be able to do it at 2 mana at sorcery speed. And that's like, it doesn't matter for stuff like the minus 999 or to start target creature, but there's not a lot of punishments for this at instant speed. So this was a card I reevaluated after looking at all the flyers, and the flyers are good in this set, but if we go back and look at them, like, it trades favorably against it eats every flyer we've seen so far. So Ranger makes a good point. This is understated for a vehicle. Normally, if a card like this were in this set, we would see it as a 5 mana 5/5. And a 5 mana 5/5 in this set is not that different from a 5 mana 5/3 or 5/4. So like, functionally, this will play like a 5 mana 5/5, except your opponent is going to be able to double block it, and your opponent is going to be able to grow their creatures 1 to block it. But mostly this card is good. So this card is a 5 in your mana value 5 or greater deck, because this is a non-creature spell with mana value 4 or greater that is also a creature. Outside of that deck is going to be a 4, and like, this is a 5 in the artifacts deck and a 5 in the mana values deck. This is a 5 in the mana value deck, a 4 in the artifacts deck, a 3 in the ramp deck, and it's going to usually play like a 4. Cool card though. Like, this is not good in every deck, but it is a big flyer, and you need those. Flyers are very good in this set. Yeah, I still gave it a 4, ceiling of 5, and it's usually going to play somewhere around there. It's a solid but not exciting card. Here is a solid and exciting card. So this is one of the 2 pound payoffs for drawing a card. This is card plus the other one is why maybe I should evaluate them at the same time. We'll come back and talk about this more later. So a 3 mana 1/4 looter is almost good enough in this set. Looting is a valuable thing. This is a 4 or a 5 in the graveyards deck. In blue-green towns, this card is great. Looting is good in this set. You want to play some extra lands. You want a lot of the cards in your graveyard. Some cards you want to get into the graveyard without ever casting them. 4 toughness is the magic number. 4 survives so many of the spells that let them kill this. Most of the spells that they want to spend on this survives. Notably, this ability, we've seen this a lot of times recently, but this is instant speed. So how much are you willing to pay here to draw 3 cards? Like, if the game is going very, very long, then being able to just hold this up as a blocker, loot, and then eventually cash it in when you have a turn off, maybe you just ran out of things to do or your opponent is attacking, is going to feel great. Like if you pay 4 mana and draw 3 cards off this after looting 3 times and gaining 9 life because you blocked your opponent's 3/3 so many times, it'll feel like cheating. Card's really good. You do want towns. So this card plus the other card with affinity for towns are why blue towns are all rated higher than non-blue towns. It's just because you this deck, if it's blue-red or blue-green, will be playing blue-black and blue-white towns just to have towns. All the blue towns are a little bit better. Like, this is a solid body that becomes a great draw spell. And this is also why you need to pay attention to where your card advantage is coming from. I think this merchant is great. I think this combat tutorial is great. And I also think that as you draft, you're going to know which one is better for you. And you will often have to make the pick between them. But this is such a brick wall of a body in the early game, and then as the game goes, it gets better and better. It gets closer and closer to you being able to activate it. I'm sure someone will get to screenshot, activate, just tap to sack and draw 3 cards, and it's going to feel great. The blue-black version of this deck is to play all the towns and extra towns, dig for towns better, and also recur this. The green-blue version has a lot of good ways to recur this, in addition to really getting a lot out of looting. Like, I love this card. I think it looks pretty good, and it'll play even better. Quistis Trape. So this one's a little awkward. Most of the spells that you want to flash back, Kapala, thanks so much for the follow. Most of the spells that you want to flash back are either too expensive or already have flashback. Like if you get to 7 mana and you get to flash back your eject, it's going to feel great. But overall, it's understated to be something that you can just cast. If you get to treat this as a 6 or 7 drop, there's better things you can be doing with it. But if you can start blinking it or bouncing it or recurring it, it's going to feel really great. This is more of a blue-black card than a blue-red card. I'll play this in blue-black pretty much every time, but I'm not happy to play it in blue-black or in blue-red or blue-green or blue-white. So it is lower than we usually give this effect. But you can make it really good. It's just some work. This should have a higher effort value. Like, it has a place, but there's not enough cheap kill spells. If something like Fell were in this format, or like if there were more 2 mana kill a creature things, then this would be a lot better. Nearly all of the blue removal is enchantment. So you need to pair with removal from other colors. But like, there's some good green spells. If you have the fights, it's really good. If you have where is it? It's very strong with not you. This one, Ice Magic, because you get to pay 4 mana to tug a creature and then 5 mana to bounce a creature. But it's not a free thing. I like it though. I think it's good design because not every color wants this. Like when your opponent plays this on 3 and you play your 3 mana 3/3 or 3 mana 3/4 or 3 mana 2/4 artifact that progresses your game plan, then you will pull way ahead even if they don't feel it right away. Sorry, so Kapala, I do the I do all my hellos and thank yous between slides just because this is the only content that I make for the purposes of going on YouTube. But sorry you didn't get a big emote explosion, but I really do appreciate the follow. Thank you so much. All right, realm sketching. So one of the things that you see a lot in newer Magic players is misunderstanding the power of clone. So Magic players, it's a spectrum. It's brand new players, clone is awesome. Medium new players, clone's not good, it doesn't have any stats. And then experienced players, clone is always the best thing in play. This one is better than usual. It is sorcery speed, but any artifact, creature, or land, like that is some flexibility. And the fact that it never fails, like if you top deck this in the late game, if you top deck this and there's somehow no creatures in play and you want to play it on turn 4, you can. It's not a great ramp spell, but there's a few lands that are worth copying, and especially some of the towns. I kind of love this artwork. So I don't know this character, but you can tell exactly what she's doing. Like she just sketched this dinosaur into being. You got to be a little careful. It is weaker then like a clone. So in like Magic 2019, clone was one of the best cards you could draft because at any given time your opponent's creature was pure. They would play a 6-mana 6/6 with trample, you would clone it, and they wouldn't be a 7/7, it wouldn't be an 8/8, it would always be as good as what your opponent just played. But in this set, the nature of how the set is put together means it's not quite as free. Stuff like your combat tutorials, you don't get to take the counter with you. And chances are, if you copy like the Prime Vista, your opponent will be doing it better than you. Your opponent will be using this card better than you because it's such a high synergy set. That doesn't make it bad, it just makes it less free. So it's a medium effort card with a lower floor than usual, but it's still going to play pretty close to that 6. Once you have the bombs, if you are copying your own bombs, it's gonna feel really good. So like if I pack one, pick one of the sagas that destroys a permanent when it comes into play, then I'm taking the Realm Sketching. But this is another 4-mana non-creature spell that is functionally a creature. And the flexibility means that I'm gonna be really happy to play it in any blue deck. Yeah, but like if I pack one, pick one, a big bomb, and in green, for instance, then now I'm green-blue because I'm taking the Realm Sketching, turn pick 2. Realm is a good name. I just realized that this has to be someone's name. I like that. Retrieve the Esper. This card is amazing in the high mana value deck and weak everywhere else. Like, it looks like it should slot into all of these. I would love to copy my town in Simic Town's March. It would be really cool. So this card looks like it should be great in blue-black graveyards. Like it should be great in blue-green ramp. It's templated to be good in everything, right? It's good when you're ramping. It's good when in artifacts. It's good if you are milling it in your graveyard deck. But you don't. It's worse than what that deck wants to be doing in all of those situations. It's worse in artifacts than any other 4-mana artifact. It's worse in graveyards than most of the spells with flashback, and it's worse in ramp than most of the other flexible ramp spells. But it's really good in the mana values deck. It's a 4-mana 3/3 and then a 6-mana 5/5. And it's fine in all of the rest of the decks. So and like you will need this effect. You need the flexible spells, you need artifacts, you need cards with flashback in blue green, in blue white, and in blue black. And there are better options for all of those decks. But it's okay if this is what you have in those decks. But I think it's great in the high mana values deck. It just curves so well. Like turn 3 Shantoto, turn 4 Retrieve the Esper is going to feel really good. Then turn 5 whatever, turn 6 Flash it back. It's solid. Yeah, I gave it a 4, floor of 3, ceiling of 6, and it's usually going to be between. Hey Spoon, thank you. Good to know. Yeah, so I gave it a filler rating. With a high rating in blue-red. Rook Turret. So this is a card, you see this a lot nowadays, 4-mana 3/3, and with triggers for looting or triggers for surveilling. It's good in this set because flyers are bad in this set. Like, this is a great card because this is just a set where you'll play a Windrake. This is a 4-mana 3/3 flyer. That's pretty good. Oops. So this is a 4-mana 3/3 flyer. That's something you want to be doing. The looting on artifact ETBs is powerful. Like, you don't need a lot of artifacts for it to be good. This is a 5 in artifacts and in blue black and in blue white. It's a 4 in blue green and blue red. But it's a solid card. Like, you just need flyers. So someone was like, someone had the audacity to tell me that like I was trying to tell them, look, this is why you should watch my set reviews, because I am often way ahead of the curve on a lot of these than from other people, because I look at all the cards ahead of time and analyze the data. And someone said, well, you didn't call Dragonstorm Globe. And I'm like, fuck you, I didn't call Dragonstorm Globe. It's in my slides. Dragonstorm Globe is a good card. It was a really good card in Dragonstorm, and people are like, nobody figured out that Dragonstorm was good until week 4. I'm like, no, Dragonstorm was good before day 1. And so they were asked for evidence, and I'm like, see, there's my evidence. I said it like 100 times. Okay, so Sage's Newliths, 2 mana, 2/1 artifact creature. This text is not very useful. Like, whenever this creature attacks, untap target attacking creature. Like, it doesn't let you reuse abilities because the creature has to be attacking. And it doesn't let you bypass stun counters because if your creature's stunned, it's not attacking. So essentially, this is a 2 mana, 2/1 artifact that gives pseudo vigilance when you attack with 2 creatures late in the game. You're kind of ignoring that text. But the job select equipment are just good. They're mana sinks. This is a 2 mana, 2/1 artifact most of the time. If you're not an aggro deck, you'll throw it around later, but there's better things to do. Love this artwork. This is really beautiful artwork. This is 9. I didn't play 9, but yeah, really cool card. Not amazing, great in the artifacts deck, not good most other decks. I'll play this in blue-white as a 5. This is a 5 in blue-white. This is bad. Is a 3 everywhere else. Like, I mean, it's fine. You'll play it, but it's not going to feel great. Sahagin. If you trigger this once, the card is good. If you pay 2 mana for a 2/4, even if it's not a 2/4 until turn 4, it's a good card. This is an actual powerful win condition in the blue-red spells deck, and it's a solid win condition in blue-black. The way to think of this isn't a 2 mana 1/3 that's a 2/4 then a 3/5 that attacks unblockable every turn. You got to think about it like a burn spell. So if we go back to blue-red, I said, are you winning with value or are you killing them? Like, if you hit for 2 and then 3 at some point later in the game with this, it's done its job. It's done its 5 damage, and you can burn them out the rest of the way. And in the meantime, it's a great blocker on turn 2 that scales with your opponent's threats later on. But yeah, you'll find that the 2-drops all have pretty similar ratings because they tend to be really good in 1 or 2 of the decks and pretty weak in all of the rest of them. This one I like because it has a role and it does something in all of the decks, not just in the deck where it's meant to be in the blue-red deck. Yeah, but it's just coincidence that we got 3 pretty identically rated 2-drops in a row. The Scorpion Sentinel, this is a really good stat line. 2 mana 1/4 is just a great blocker in the more controlling decks. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this because it's pretty bad in blue-red. I'm dropping the floor, but this card is great in blue-green, good in blue-white, terrible in blue-black, and terrible in blue-red. So the ceiling of a 6, like, if you're an actual ramp deck so it's not a specific deck with the 6. The 6 is for when you have the ramp spells. There's a few spells that search for 2 lands, put them into play. When you have those, you can treat this as a 6 because a 2 mana 1/4 that turns into a 4/4 is great. If you don't have those, you treat it as a 3 or 4. Or you get to treat it as a 5 in the artifacts deck. All right. This one is cool. I'm probably going to give this a revisit and come back to it. 4 mana, draw 3 is discard 2 is pretty weak, but this is, out of all the side quests, this might be the easiest condition to meet. It will just happen eventually. You can rush it along. Like, you can rush your way to 8 cards in the graveyard, but you don't want to unless you have significant graveyard payoffs. But I consider this to be a significant graveyard payoff. Like, this can block the turn it comes down. It's not guaranteed, but draw 3, discard 2 it can get you to 8 cards a fair amount of the time. There's a lot of surveillance self-mill. And then having this be a 4/4 with a pretty low crew cost is going to feel great. We've talked a lot about how important Fires is and how valuable size is on your Fires. A 4/4 is huge, especially that can't die to sorcery speed removal. So I gave it it's pretty simple, rating 5, floor of 4, ceiling of 6 is usually going to be between there. Happy to play it in most of my blue decks, ecstatic to play it in blue-black. Sleep Magic. Okay, in the last set, Dragonstorm, we had a card called Ringing Strike Mastery, which is very controversial. It was 1 mana. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its untap step. You tap it when it comes into play, and then enchanted creature also has 5 untap this. This one's similar but harder to break. You don't inevitably get to the stage of the game where it breaks. Some decks will just counter this. There's a few spare pings. There's a few good ways to deal 1 damage to it yourself. There's a 1 damage to everything. I would not take this high in best of 3 if I am doing my sideboarding. At your pre-release, this is a good card to run main deck and side out pretty often. But 1 mana disable a creature is good the whole game. Not just early. So you can play it on your opponent's 2/2 or 3/3. You can play it on your opponent's X1 pretty happily. But there's so many ways to just refill your hand that costs a lot of mana that if I am in the kind of deck that's refilling my hand for a lot of mana, then I want to also be able to cast a spell on the same turn. So if I have 3 Kickern Merchants, then I'm also going to want to try and pick up a bunch of Sleep Magics, because I get to crack it, draw a bunch of cards, and then disable the creature. And there are ways to disable enchantments, which means that the auras that, like, you are happier with an aura that you didn't spend a ton of mana on, especially when you're drawing a bunch of cards. It's a good tempo play and a strong removal spell. It's hard to break free from the sleep spell. It's not a trivial thing. Yeah, it's so good. It's really brilliant. Like, you sleep, and then if you fuck with it, it wakes up. It's great flavor. Simple, elegant, great design. Like, this is something that is, like, this is how sleep works in Final Fantasy, but it's not how it works in just Final Fantasy. So I would be surprised if we had this not, like, if we have another D&D set where they don't reprint sleep magic, I'll be surprised. It's tough to break. So, like, there is a deal 1 damage to everything, which breaks it. But, like, your opponent's not going to spend a shock, deal 2 damage to their own creature to clear the sleep magic, unless it's a huge creature. And then your opponent's down a shock, too. That's a fair trade. They've traded a 1 mana spell for a 1 mana spell. The only thing that really counters it is the sweeper, which the Fire Magic Sweeper is really good and a hard counter for it. So just be aware of it. Stolen Uniform. I think this is a great sideboard card. I think it's like a great sideboard card. Know about it in your sealed pool and know about it in general, but your opponent's just not guaranteed to have the job select equipment. Equipping something at instant speed, even if it's your opponent's equipment, is not good. Pulling an equipment off of your opponent's creature is. So if my opponent has a 3/3 that's getting +2/+2 from an equipment, or a 4/4 that's getting +2/+2 in equipment, and I attack with 2 2/2s, and they have block with a 4/4 and a 3/3, I can pull an equipment off of their creature, put it onto my creature, and then I 2-for-1 them. I win 2 combats. That's a difficult thing to do, but it will happen against the artifacts deck or the red-white deck. So it's a good sideboard card, but it is not something you should be main decking most of the time, because you can't, it's difficult to put enough equipment into your own deck to make it a good card. The reason I gave this a revisit is because I haven't seen all the rares yet, and I'm sure there's some busted rare equipments that make this card good. So we'll revisit it once I look at all the rare equipments. I like being surprised, so I'm tomorrow's early access, and I might revisit it after tomorrow's early access. Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum. This is still a good removal spell. Flash, lock down a creature or artifact is good. There aren't as many creatures as usual that your opponent is happy with, even if they can't attack or block. So there aren't as many, like, I'm looking for one. So, like, in some sets, there's a ton of creatures with static abilities, which are fine whether they're attacking or not. That's not the case in this set. There are some. Yeah, let's look at the signposts. So if we look at the signposts, Tidus, Locke, and Ignis. Like, nah. So, like, Shantoto is the only one that I'm upset if I have to use it on it. It doesn't clear a lot of the rares, but it's still a good removal spell, and it's easily splashable, something I'm happy to have. All right, but yeah, it's fine blue removal. It's just a removal spell. It's not too exciting. Ooh, okay, so summon Shiva. I feel like she should have more arms. I know she didn't in Final Fantasy, but they could have given her some more arms. This card's just really good. This is a fantastic summon. So 5 mana, lock a creature down each turn for a 4/5 is really good. And then a lot of these summons, I talked about how they're card negative. You lock your opponent's creatures down and then they go away. But this one draws you 2 cards pretty much every time. So you lock down, because both creatures you stunned will draw you a card. This also says your opponent doesn't get to attack this turn. If they have other creatures they want to attack with, you get to draw cards for those as well. If you have other ways to tap creatures, you get to draw cards for those as well. You also get to bounce this creature or reset it. So like if I have a blue controlling deck and I'm playing lots of cards like Ice Magic, then I get to put that last ability on the stack and then bounce my creature, draw 2 cards, and lock down a creature again. Like, this one is a high synergy. This is a good card with 0 synergies. It's a 5 with 0 synergies. And it synergizes so well with so many of the cards you already want to be playing that it ends up being one of the best cards at uncommon in the whole set. Let's say, so I had one person when I was talking about this card last time say, what happens if they have a Saga and the Saga goes away? I'm like, well, in that case, buying that time was worth a whole card. Locking down your opponent's Saga so it can't attack or block the whole time it's in play, that's worth a card. So this is usually going to be 5 mana, 4/5, deal 4 damage to target player, or block for 2 turns with a large body, draw 2 cards. It's comparable to Behold the Unspeakable, if you remember that card. Behold the Unspeakable is one of the best cards in Neon Dynasty. I think this is one of the best cards in this set. It is worth first picking. Yeah, some of the cards you compare with Shiva are wild. Like there's an Octopus we're gonna look at soon. Right, Stunning is often as good as a removal spell. So back to like the Stuck in the Summoner's Sanctum. There are a few ways to break free of enchantments. Not a lot, just a few. There's a few ways to bounce your own creature or blink it, but you can often use this in a less risky manner, which is why I gave it a 5 instead of a 4. Usually these lockdown auras get a 4. This time I gave it a 5. Yeah, Sagas are a big part of this set. Like, people will be playing a lot of them. They're incredibly strong. Yeah, Shiva's really good though. I think it's the highest rated blue card. There's one other card that I gave a higher rate, the same rating as Shiva, but honestly, I think Shiva might just need to be an 8. And I'm going to be dropping the other one. I don't know. We'll revisit it. It's this Ultros. We'll revisit the Ultros. I'm going to go ahead and drop it 1 because it just is so, Shiva's so much better. Swallowed by Leviathan. Wow, this is a standard playable counterspell. This is going to, so I haven't seen all the set yet. Like I haven't seen all the rares. Out of every card I've seen, this is the most impactful spell for Constructed. I don't know, Tyron, you around? I don't know what other people were saying for like their Constructed review lists. But yeah, this card is great here. Like Mana Quench Surveil 2 is so good. And that's oh, wait. Ignore me. I really thought this was 2 mana. I really thought this was 2 mana. I don't know why I thought this was 2 mana. I swear this was 2 mana when I looked at it the first time. That might have been the first time I looked at it. It wasn't French. Yeah. Okay, ignore me. We're going to reevaluate this one at the end. No, we'll do it right now. Sorry. I thought this was 2 mana Surveil 2 counterspell, and this would pay 1 for each card for each in your graveyard. We need to reevaluate this right now. That's what I thought, Carl. But yeah, so the first time I looked at these cards, I didn't have the pictures. I just had the translations. I swear this was 2 mana. Okay. All right. At 3 mana, it's still solid, but it competes with so much, and 3 mana is a really awkward place. Yeah, this is a pretty significant nerf. So this is now only a good counter. Like, this is a 3 mana counter spell. Surveil 2 is good. It's almost worth a card most of the time. We're bumping it. Yeah, like this is a 5 in blue black, and it's pretty weak everywhere else. Surveilling 2 is worth a card in blue-black. In blue-black, Surveilling 2 is as good, if not better, than drawing a card. Everywhere else, it can be as good as drawing a card, especially in the late game. And it's a counterspell that scales. This isn't a set, so cancel, blue, colorless. Or if this were 3 mana counter target spell, no other text. This isn't a format where I would play that, because the removal is good in this format. Yeah, but at 3 costs it's still playable, but it's not nearly as good. All right. Yeah, so we just basically dropped everything down 1 rating. I still like the card, but very disappointed. I thought it was 2 mana. Okay, Syncopate, therefore, does get better. So the reason I have Syncopate a little lower is it's actually difficult to keep mana up on your opponent's turn. Like, there's no quick study. Most of the impactful spells that you're going to be playing are sorcery speed. If you have enough Dreams of Laguna, Syncopate's really good. Syncopate has a high ceiling. If you have 3 ice magics, then Syncopate goes up a lot. But on turn 2, this effect, Blue X, so the exile is relevant. Blue X counter target spell is good when it's good at 2 mana. This isn't good at 2 mana very often because you have so many good things you want to do with 2 mana. But the more things you have at instant speed that you want to do on your opponent's turn, the better this card gets. And in blue-red, this is a 5 because this is a flexible spell. In blue-red, you want to play this for 2 and you want to play this for 4. In blue-red, you get to pay extra mana into it to counter a spell. Because this is also pretty good in blue-green, but yeah, like the thing is, right, you're spending exactly, Carl. Your mana sinks are not instant speed in a lot of these decks. What you're doing with your extra mana, so like in other formats, I love using Syncopate as a lens for cards in general, for set evaluation in general. In other formats, you would have, like, if all of your mana sinks were flashback spells, if all of your mana sinks are stuff like Dreams of Laguna, Syncopate is really good. But if some of your mana sinks are stuff like, where are you? Your Sage's Newliths, things that equip, then you're using those as sorcery speed, and it's hard to keep up the Syncopate. It's also very possible that your opponent is going to just have more mana than you. That happens. A lot of decks want to ramp. A lot of decks want to use their mana, and a lot of decks are holding mana up. So if you have a so if your opponent is a white deck, a white artifacts deck. I saw this happen with the 1 mana 1/1 that you pay 3 mana to search your library for a copy of it. Your opponent is going to be leaving that mana up often anyway, so it's tough to get full value out of Syncopate. But when you care about the value of your spells or that flexibility, it's going to be really good for you. So I think it's a 5 in blue-red. I think it's a 4 in blue-green. I think it's a 3 elsewhere. It's solid though. Thief's Knife. There are a lot of good things to equip this to. I do think you want to have those things. So I'm going to go ahead and bump up the effort. But this is a powerful thing to leave behind. So as a 3 mana, like we see 3 mana 2/2 when it deals damage to a player, draw a card all the time. It's highly variable how good it is. In this set, it's solid. Being able, like, leaving 4 is a high equip cost, but you don't care about equipping it until pretty late. Like, often you will find yourself in a situation where you cleared the way for 1 flying attacker and you'll be able to put the Thief's Knife on it. Cool card, like, it's great for artifacts, it's great for evasive decks, and it's a good source of card advantage. There are better sources of card advantage and there are better equipment, but this is nice as both. I think it's a cool card. The 2/2 leaving the equipment behind is worth 3 mana, even if often these 2/2s aren't. I think it's cool. Ooh, Travel the Overworlds. So this card is great because 7 mana draw 4 cards is still playable. 7 mana draw 4 cards is a 4. Yes, that's expensive. 4 cards is so much. That's so much card advantage. And this set, looking at the different engines you can assemble, there's so many different engines you can assemble for card advantage. But it's they don't go +3 cards for you. If you cast this for 2 mana, you've won the game. Like if you have 5 towns and this is blue, draw 4 cards, congratulations. You have won a game, you won your match. That's an 8. This card is why blue towns are worth picking so aggressively, even if they're not on your colors. Like 7 mana draw 4, it's playable. It's not good, but it's playable. 6 mana draw 4 is pretty good. 5 mana draw 4 is better than, like, that's what Tidings is. That's great. So draw, it's not an instant, which is the downside. Ranger Into the Story was better than this, but only because it was an instant. And you can get, like, blue-green will have games where this is 3 mana, 2 mana, 4 mana. This is one of the reasons to be blue-green. It's also one of the reasons that a lot of the cheaper spells are good, because you want to be able to, if you have to take a turn off to travel the overworld, then your next turn needs to be filled with spells, or you need to be not actually taking a turn off because you have Shore Up or Syncopate, some way to interact cheaply. This might be a 7. I don't know, not every deck wants this card, but it's really good. Every deck wants this card if you have towns. Not every deck will have towns. Some decks want this card even if they don't have towns. It is, Spoon. It's very good. I'm going to drop this back to a 6 because it's not as free as I wanted it to be. I just had the dream deck in my head. Like Ultros turn 2, turn 1 down, Ultros turn 2, turn 3, cast another creature like a Shantoto, turn 4, travel the overworld, put 8. Oh, I guess it doesn't actually work that way. Like, it's really a lot harder to use this 8 mana effect than I thought. So I need to go ahead and drop the floor. Like, if you stun 1 creature with this spell, then it's a 5. And I'm assuming you get to stun 1 creature at least. The more creatures you get to stun, the better this gets. You also get to put more than 1 stun counter on something. I think this is one of the payoffs for your non-creature spells mana value for a greater deck. But it's just a really good card. All right, last blue card, Valkyrie Aerial Unit. 7 mana, 5/4, Surveil 2 is not great. But I'm assuming you can get at least 1 artifact down, and you can do that. You can play a lot more than that. If you have 3 artifacts, and this is a 4 mana 5/4 flyer Surveil 2, that is fantastic. This is a 7 in the dedicated artifacts deck, but all the blue decks will have some artifacts. They're just not going to be prioritizing them in the pick order. So I'll be playing this very happily in blue black or blue green with a few artifacts to go with it. Ooh, all right, love that. We're gonna go ahead and take, yeah, the flying is the most important. Flying is a valuable keyword here. We're going to be moving on to the white cards. We're going to be taking a 90-second break because I have to run ads. It's not letting me hold off any longer. So I'll be back in 90 seconds to do the white cards, and then we will play a game or 2 of Neon Dynasty, and that'll be it for the day. But I'll be back tomorrow for early access. See you soon. All right, we're back. Yeah, I evaluated the card first. I thought there would be more X spells, but some of the red ones, like the Chocobo, deal X, make a 2/2, is so good. Like maybe that I they're all uncommons. That might be Magical Christmas Land, but it's good to know. I like a song. All right, so we're on to white. We'll do this one really quickly because we just did it, but if you're only here to learn about the white cards, we're still going to talk about it. So up first, blue-white artifacts. You need your good artifacts first, then your payoffs, then your removal spells. You got to take them a little higher than usual just because there's fewer in blue and white, or rather they're more specific in blue and white. You have specifically ones that are specifically good for your artifacts deck. Then your other artifacts, just your filler artifacts, your 2-mana 1/4 artifacts, or your equipment that are a little weaker. You need to figure out whether you are being evasive or going wide. What are you punching through with a few creatures? Maybe you're using Tidus as a big guy to tap a few things down, or are you going wide and making your whole team larger? There's a few really good ways to do that in white. Know what your mana sinks are, and you there's a lot of different things you can do with mana sinks. There's a 7-mana transform. There's lots of different equipments that you can toss around, and you could be just drawing cards and playing extra cheap spells in order to facilitate all that card draw. Your artifact creatures are pretty generically important. Like, you want to replace your regular creatures with artifact creatures wherever you can. This is our Blitzball star. He's a legend. All right. Black-white is artifact sat. So they did add in the word dies now applies to non-creature things. So your artifacts can die. It just describes going to the graveyard. It's pretty useful. You need your payoffs first. Like, I consider the Judge Magister to be a payoff, but like there's some really good ones. There's a Blood Artist type one in black. Then you need your win con. You can do it with value in black-white. So your win condition can be speed, like maybe you're just getting Judge big enough. Your win condition can be value, maybe you're recurring a lot of your different artifacts. Your win condition can be aristocrats. There's a few good ways to drain your opponent out, or you can go wide like any of the white decks. Then you need your dyers, things you want to die. I need a better term for that, but dyers seems to work even better now for the artifacts. I was gonna say like sacrifices, but you're not really sacrificing things in the traditional sense. Think lots of creatures and artifacts. Fodder. Both of you at the same time. Love it. Yeah. Fodder. Payoffs, win con, fodder, removal. You can take your removal later in black-white because so many of the removal spells that you can run are so many of the removal spells you get to run are other decks don't want them. Like, a lot of the black-white removal spells only really work well in black-white or alongside things that only black-white can do well. So you can take it a little later. Like, that. This is a pretty... I'm pretty confident in this chain. Payoffs, win condition, fodder, removal. There's not as much fodder as you'd think. The fodder is kind of... it's work. The fodder is work in this set. Usually fodder is the easy part, but the fodder you have are creatures that search up other creatures. But like, you can do instant ramen. Instant ramen is a nice piece of fodder for a Judge Magister. You leave it in play and you'll gain 3 life when you can. Food in general is good fodder, but like, it's not a free thing. Your food is a little bit different. No, wait, I did that right. Yeah, fodder, win condition, and then removal. You have to put some work into your fodder. It's not a free thing. Just if you like playing aristocrats in other sets, you probably aren't used to that. You need to figure out if your creatures need to live. Like, are you okay chump attacking? I think one interesting thing about Dragonstorm, something a lot of people didn't like in Dragonstorm, is chump attacking was usually correct. You were supposed to let your creatures die to a bad attack just to get them dead. You should figure out whether that is okay for you. Are you trying to win by keeping as many creatures alive as possible to pump them all at once and hit them? Or are you trying to get your creatures to die because you need creatures in the graveyard, or because you need to grow your Judge Magister? Figure out what kind of removal you need. If you have the fodder, it's something that requires sacrificing artifacts or creatures, then those sack removal spells are going to be a little bit better. If you don't, you're going to need to take like the critical hit. You'll need to take some actual kill spells a little higher. And then figure out if anything's worth splashing. Black-white doesn't splash well. Like, you don't have a lot of fixing. There's a rat that makes a treasure. But you get a lot from splashing. Cards like Titus, I don't think Titus is great in blue-white. Titus is really good in black-white. There's a lot of cards that you just get a little extra value of. One thing you'll notice in general about a lot of the white card ratings is that the floor and ceilings are a lot closer together. The white cards tend to be a little bit more flexible. I think a lot of people think white is the best color. It's not the best color, but it does look the best color at a glance. This is a high synergy set. White cards need the least to work, but they don't work as well as a lot of the colors that you have to put more effort into. Like blue cards require a lot more work than white cards, but I don't think the work is like, you have to do the work to function, and you're going to see a lot of 4-3 and 3-3 mono white decks early on. Gyat, King of the Dwarves, very cool. So red white is about your equipments. It's equipment themed, and there's a lot of artifacts. Oh man, someone earlier today, later. All right. 2 mana, 1/1 double strike. That rummages when it comes into play is just very good. This is a good double strike. This is the only instance of double strike in the set. This is the only creature with double strike in the set. There is those side quests that turns into a double strike equipment. But keywords is something that is missing in this set. So red white wants the keyword creatures. They want flyers, double strikers. There's no first strikers, but it would want one if there were one. Menace creatures, and then the equipments that make them strong. You need your payoffs first. And here, I mean, payoffs, I should say keywords. Keyword creatures. Payoffs, so keyword creatures here, I mean, are payoffs. So like this card, Gyat, ends up being really important. Your 2 mana 2/2 Menace is actually really important for this style of deck. Then you want job select cards. This is where job select is meant to go. All the red white job select cards are good for you. You want all of them. I don't think there's any that are bad for red white to have. I need to double check on the red ones, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Then your cheap spells in general. You get a lot out of your combat tricks with this deck. You have to be a little careful in terms of space. You're going to run out of space for your combat tricks. But yeah, anything that's cheap goes into here pretty well. And that's because often you'll want to take a turn to move one of your job select equipment around. And that's 3 or 4 mana. You want to make sure you're still casting a spell. And then cards like Gyat, there's a lot of good card selection. There's not a lot of good card advantage. There are so many different ways to rummage or surveil or loot, or there's not actually no scry. To just dig for what you need, but there's not a lot of ways to generate raw card advantage. So you can dig for it, and cheap spells help a lot with that. If you see card advantage, grab it. I didn't put card advantage on the list because there's just not that much. Like, your card advantage comes from moving equipment around and making all of your tokens relevant. And then removal. You don't need to take removal as high in red white, just because combat tricks are going to be functionally removal for you so often, and you have to operate at sorcery speed often. Figure out how fast you are. There is a lot of reach for this deck. So even if you're going to have decks, red-white aggro decks, where every card in the deck costs 3 mana or less, that still have a late game and still play in the late game, just because you have to put so much mana into some of your cards to make them work. Figure out if you need equipment to function. You shouldn't. Like, there's a lot of cards that give you bonuses for equipment and for having artifacts, but none of the decks actually require it. None of the decks fail to function without the equipment. And then figure out where your equipment is going. That goes back to these payoffs, keyword creatures. Like, you want flyers most. You want double strikers, then flyers, then menace creatures, then tramplers. and then you want to put equipment on them. It works really well. I think so. We see equipment as a theme all the time. I think this might be the best it's been implemented as a draft archetype. Yeah, we'll take a look at Warrior Sword later, but I think you might be right, Spoon. All right. Finally, green-white sagas. It's kind of go wide sagas. So at common and uncommon, this is a go wide deck. But at rare and mythic, a lot of the summons don't want to do that. They're just they have so much raw power that manipulating the lore counters is enough. So at common and uncommon, we are calling this go wide. You want a lot of bodies, you want to make them bigger, you want to make them relevant. But at rare and mythic, and there's enough rare summons that this will happen. You won't be a go wide deck, you're just going to be a mid-range value deck. Garnet is a fantastic card in all of them, but that's because she's 2-mana 2/2 lifelink is fantastic in all of them. I will be first picking Garnet a lot to play sagas. I love sagas. So you need your sagas first. Most, if not all, of the sagas are good in this deck. I'll double check the green sagas, but you really want them all. Then you need your support for the sagas. You want Garnet first, then sagas, then support, then your interaction. You need to find interaction. It doesn't have to be removal, but you need to be doing it. So like, you actually can gain enough life off the lifelinkers you have access to and the flyers and blockers that you don't need to really kill things. You do want to kill things, but you can make it happen. Like you can gain, Carl asks if there's a secret life deck. You can gain enough life to ignore a large percentage of the decks. When I say ignore, there's no plan for any deck that you can ignore forever. But buying a couple turns against the red-white equipment deck will be enough. And buying turns, that's an important point here. You are buying time. You are spending cards to buy time, and you are manipulating the clock because your sagas vanish. Sagas have vanishing. They go away eventually. So time you buy or time you spend is something that you need to be thinking about as you play with summons. Summons are going to be a relevant thing in every color, but there's a lot more of them in green and white than in the other colors. So you care more about the time they take. And then finally, anthems, ways to pump your team. So the other green-white signpost counts in there. The anthems are all situational, but strong. And we're gonna be talking about a lot of them here. There is a 5-mana green sorcery, +3/+3 to everything. There's a 5-mana 4/4 that makes a 1/1, and whenever it attacks, it pumps a creature equal to the number of creatures you control. The anthems are good, and you'll need them in your first 4 priorities for picks. Sometimes you'll take anthems over interaction based on what your deck is doing and where you are in the draft. So you want to know your key turns. Like you want to know that from the beginning, but the timing that you play things matters a lot more. Like this is not a deck. If you're playing green white, you can't kill things because they're there. You can't kill things, like you can't spend a removal spell just because there's something to kill because there's a key target. This is the deck that is going to spend the most turns doing nothing, because sequencing your spells correctly or having things in play with specific combinations is so much more important than it is in other decks. But overall, this is like you need to know when you want to pop off when you're doing things, especially with sagas. A lot of the sagas are only relevant for one of the chapters, so timing them matters a lot. Figure out what the point of your engine is. Is your engine grinding value? Is your engine making 2/2s? Is your engine just killing them? Like, are you just dealing 20 damage? Maybe your engine is getting you stable. Like, you want to know the point of it and you want to tool it accordingly. So like Garnet pools lore counters lets you reuse specific chapters of sagas. Like, you can kill creatures with that. You can make 2/2s with that. You can lock your opponent's board down. You might end up splashing sagas too. Maybe that'll fix what your engine does or change it. And then you need to be enabling attacks. You need to be figuring out, like, Garnet is a 2/2. She pulls a lore counter off something. Now she's a 3/3. Does that attack? Is your opponent going to block with a 4/4, double block with 2/2/2s? Put some effort into enabling your attacks because of how many things trigger on the attacks. Like, you may have to move an equipment. You may have to take a whole turn to move an equipment to enable one attack next turn when a saga comes down. Plan your turns. Right. Up first is Adalbert Steiner. I need to go ahead and lower this floor to a 4. But a 2-mana 2/1 lifelinker is just good. A 2-mana 3/2 lifelinker is great. And it goes back to what I was saying with red-white. You need your payoffs, keyword creatures. This is a great card. Cheap lifelinkers are good in this format. There's not very many of them. I believe there's 2 of them. I need to check black again. There might be 3 or 4. But this card is just good. It lets you race. It lets you ignore some attacks. And it lets... So, in the artifacts deck, you're going to have equipment. In the equipment deck, you're going to have equipment. And in the green-white deck, you are going to be... This helps you control your timing. It trades up, and the one toughness is a liability. 2 toughness is not. Once you can get it to 2 toughness, the card's great. And hopefully you have enough job select equipment to make it work. I would love to play a 5-color Sagas, Carl. Yeah, I gave it a floor of a 4, ceiling of 6. It's usually going to be somewhere between, but it's not a terrible amount of effort, and it's not archetype specific. It's just, do you have the job select equipment? Aerith Rescue Mission. So I don't know if you remember doing this Final Fantasy. You can open up the elevator and fight the things in the elevator, or you can take the stairs. And there's no, like, you just do it. You just go around and around and around and around and around and repeat that 54 times. I can't answer that. There are a lot of them, Carl. There's a lot of legendary creatures at uncommon. The set's a little bit bigger than usual, so it should be fine. All right, so this is both modes are good. 4 mana make 3 1/1s is good. 4 mana lock 3 creatures for 2 turns is good. The only reason that the rating is lower than it would usually be is you can't fit very many of these cards in your deck. And we might be wrong about that. Like, I might end up playing 3 copies sometimes. This is a 4 mana non-creature spell that generates creatures, and I like that. But I mostly want this when I'm planning to go wide. Any white deck can go wide. Any of the white decks can go wide, but they're not all guaranteed to go wide. So yeah, this is a deck specific card, but not a color specific card. You want to, you don't play this in a deck when you're always going to choose one mode or the other. You only want this in your deck when both modes are good. Both modes are only good if you have the tools to support going wide or using all of those bodies. Any color combination with white can have those things happen, can go wide, but is not guaranteed to. So this is one of the reasons that all of these, so evasion are wide. Your creatures need to live to win. How fast are you? Where is the equipment going? Green white will pretty happily play this. So like, this is not a guaranteed card in any white deck, but any white deck can make the space for it. Ooh, Ambrosia Whiteheart. This card is very good. Like a 2-mana 2/2 with flash and landfall gets +1/+0 would be a 5. That's really good. If, as long as you are picking up something you want to pick up, it's great. Ambrosia is a May, but often you'll want to return a land because landfall is a thing. There are things with landfall in this set that you want to play the land very badly. So like, returning your land is not bad in this set either. If you can get it going with a strong ETB, it's great. Like, job select compared to like for Mirrodin, going back to our last time equipment was good, you always wanted to pick those up because they made a 2/2. But this one, in this set, the equipment always makes a 1/1, so it's not always guaranteed to pick up. You are also not guaranteed to have something you want to pick up, but if you do, this card is a 7. If you don't, this card is a 6. Very good legendary bird here. There is a little bit of bird tribal stuff. I haven't seen all of it. Like, the bird tribal stuff is kind of supported softly here anyway. Like, there's a green 1/1 with landfall put up +1/+1 counter on it. I'm pretty happy to pick up a land just to replay it with Ambrosia. Picking up a land is an option here. It's very good. I think that all of the Pixie decks are going to include exactly 1 copy of this and not the second, because you never want to have 2 copies of this in your constructed deck. All right, Ash, Princess of Dalmasca. I should have bought a whole ton of Bard class. All right, Ash, Princess of Dalmasca. If this is going, so this is going to be a hit reliably. You can make this a hit reliably. That's not good enough. It needs to be hitting something you want to hit. So if you have a bunch of job select cards, this card is great. Similar to the Aerith Rescue Mission, any white deck can do this, but not every white deck wants to do this. Like when you're peaking 5 cards, you need, I'd say 6 artifacts to hit this reliably. That's doable, but it is something that requires conscious effort. So make sure you put in the conscious effort if you have Ash. It's great if you get options. Like, so hang on, how soon are we looking at our 1-drop? So there's a 1-drop that searches for copies of itself. If you have a whole bunch of them, pretty happy with Ash. If you are getting to choose between a removal spell and a creature, I'm happy with Ash. If I'm not, like, a 2 toughness is a bit of a liability and it's just going to be fine. I'm going to go ahead and raise the floor because I'm happy if it's fine if it's a 3/2. But yeah, it's usually going to be a 4, floor of 4, ceiling of 6. That ceiling of a 6 is only if you have a lot of good artifacts or rares that you want to dig for. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this to a 3 because it's not creatures you control, it's attacking creatures you control. But that flashback is good. The fact that this makes 2 attacks great in a go wide deck is great, but not every deck wants to go wide, and therefore not every deck wants this card. When you want this card, you'll know, and you will be really happy with it. But even then, you're limited on the total number of anthems you can play. You're limited on the number of charges you can play. If you like that kind of deck with Inspired Charge, yes, you can't play this card defensively. You can't play this card to win a combat, and it doesn't give any toughness. It is a fantastic go wide card. If you are a dedicated tokens deck making lots of bodies, this card is really good for you. You can even pay 7 mana in to use it twice in 1 turn. But yeah, it is offense only. It is offense go wide only. It's got a high ceiling but a very low floor. Just be aware. There are better anthems because there are more flexible anthems. There are more flexible ways to pump your team. But yeah, this is attacking only. So does Trumpet Blast, right, they know about the second cast. Is Trumpet Blast only attacking or is it creatures you control? Yeah, when you need Trumpet Blast, you really need Trumpet Blast, and you'll know when you need it. Like, if this is 3 mana deal 4, it's not the best, but yeah. It's a cool card. I like that they put this in. Honestly, I would have been, if they made it like on the job for MKM, 4 mana, pump your team, make a clue. Every deck wanted that card, not just the go wide decks. You can table this. If you're a go wide deck, you really need this card. You'll know you really need this card, and you'll be able to get it late. You don't have to take it too aggressively. That's why the value is so low. But the decks that want this really want it, and they get to treat it as a 6. Ooh, our first none? Yeah, this is just good. 2 mana for 4 great options, like make a 2/2, win a combat, destroy a creature that really needs to be killed, gain 4 life. So you will only ever use the gain 4 life if you're gonna die. You will only ever use the ability if your creature if your important creature is going to die. You will only ever use the magic when you have to get something off the board, and otherwise you've got a 2 mana 2/2 with flash. Like, this card is uber flexible. It's great in every single white deck. So it's not that all 4 options are great. It's that the fail case of an instant speed 2/2 is great. Like, the fail case of making a 2/2 at instant speed is what you want to be doing. And yeah, like, maybe it's not going to feel the best, but like, the fact is that this is arguably the most flexible card in the set. When all 4 options are bad, the card is bad. When all 4 options are great, the card is usually more expensive. But for 2 mana, this amount of flexibility is valuable, and it makes it a 6. Hey, Haiku, good to see ya. Yeah, so it's not that all 4 options are great. Really good point, GLP. Not all 4 options are great. All 4 options are valuable when you need them to be valuable. All 4 of these, any one of these is going to be what you need it to be when you need it to be it. So yes, this is a very low effort card. It goes into your deck if you're playing white. That's it. Yeah, like there's no white deck that cuts this, I think, ever. I guess maybe the Artifacts deck doesn't want it. Yeah, exactly. I love this though. It's a battle menu. What are you going to do this turn? Are you going to attack, use an ability, use magic, or use an item? None of them are great. These are all, it's 4 bonus actions. These are 4 D&D bonus actions. Cloudbound Moogle. That's true, Haiku. All right, so this is like bad, right? Like a 5 mana 3/4 flying is bad, even with plane cycling. The counter is relevant, it does enable an attack, and the 2/3 flyer is a relevant body, but like you need it. Like there's not enough flyers in this set. Putting flying, I have to imagine that this was bigger before and that they it was too good. Any increase in size makes it too good because flying is such a rarity in this set. But it blocks the flyers it needs to block. It blocks all of the 2/1 and 2/2 flyers, and the plane cycling is a nice bonus. This doesn't really have any bonus text. Like, there's so much bonus text on all of the cards in this set, but like, it's not a wizard, it's not a chocobo, it doesn't have landfall. The counters don't matter. Like, counters only matter in terms of size. Nothing says equal to the number of counters on something. Like, it is exactly an okay card, Haiku. It's exactly right. Yeah, this card is okay. Most white decks will play a copy, but like won't be happy about it. You don't get anything for it being 5 mana. You don't get anything for it being in your graveyard. You don't get anything for anything other than its size, which is bad. But you do need flyers. This is a format where you need flyers. Ooh, okay. So this one I had to revisit. The co-URL. How do I say this? Co-URL? Cow-URL? Coup-URL? Yeah, and to be fair, Lion, cyclers should have the okay, the okay feeling. So Haiku, flyers and limited are always good. This is a set with the fewest flyers we've ever had. Carl. All right, so this card's bad. It looks good. Usually this effect is great. 2 mana 2/2 tap a creature is great. But the 2-drops in white are really good. Like, the 2-drops that this card has to compete in white with specifically are absurd. We've got Aldebert Steiner, we've got Ambrosia Whiteheart. In green-white, we've got Garnet. In black-white, we've got Judge. In red-white, we've got Giat. Every 2-drop, like, this is the worst 2-drop available in white, which is a really high bar. Yes, and there are a lot of great tappers in this set because tapping down a saga creature, a summon creature, is great. It's worth cards. So not tapping the enchantment matters. That being said, if you don't have 2s, you don't have to be upset to play this. It has a place. It's wild how spoiled we are from 2 mana 2/1s being playable. Like, it used to be that 2 mana 2/1s were important cards. You had to have 2-drops. This set, you don't need as many 2-drops. Like, the set's not crazy fast. The set snowballs, like, people will go out of control. But if you miss your 2-drop, it's not the end of the world. And ultimately, like, it's about competition. There are much better 2-drops in this card. If you end up running it, it's okay. You don't have to feel bad about it, but like, there's competition for it at the 2-drop slot. There's competition for it at the tapper. This is the worst of the tappers and the worst of the 2-drops in white. Ooh, okay. So this one is just good. Like, I would play this text, the 7 mana text we'll talk about, but I would play in this format. Ooh, a curl. Thank you, Haiku. So I would play a 1 mana to cast, 1 mana to equipment in this set. I do think that it's too good if it's any creature because it locks down sagas too well. The answer is great, Ranger. Short Sword is great in this set. Part of it goes back. So why is Short Sword great? Part of it is because all of the creatures are really close together in size. Like, a Short Sword lets my 2-drops trade up with my opponent's 3-drops. Lets my 3-drops trade up with my opponent's 4-drops. Lets my 1/1 tokens trade up with my opponent's 2-drops. Like, it turns them all into trading up. I mean, it's not great. It's a 4. If this is only a short sword for you, it's a 4. And also, 1 mana artifacts are very relevant. 1 mana artifacts are something that most decks will add into play, especially 1 mana artifacts that have value as the game goes on. This is good in the artifacts deck. This is good in the equipment deck. The 7 mana flip is great. Like, this flips into a 4/3 flyer that wins the game in 2 turns. Like, if you get to 7 mana and flip it, like, look at these chapters. Prevent all damage that we dealt to creatures you control. That enables an attack this turn and next turn. And then you lock down your opponent's board and you win the game. The 4/3 body is relevant. It blocks a lot of flyers. Like, this is a form. This front card, Short Sword, would be playable in this set in a few of the decks. The decks that don't want it, so like this Crystal Fragments is great in artifacts and is great in equipment, which is basically also artifacts. It's pretty much just okay in the green-white deck, but the green-white deck is very likely to get to the mid-game and have to win going wide, and it really wants this Saga. It really wants the other half. So this is a 6 in red, white, and, well, this is a 6 in blue, white, a 5 in red, white, and green, white, and a 4 in black, white. It's just okay in black, white, but it's not bad. Yeah, it's a really cool card. Like, they've treaded, they skirted so many lines on this card to make it good in this set. And I think this is perfect. I think they nailed all of the numbers, and you can even see where the numbers were tweaked. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this cost 2 mana to cast initially and 5 mana to flip. That wouldn't have been good enough. You want this to be 1 mana to play. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was 1 mana to cast, 2 mana to equip, 4 mana to flip. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if this was a 4/5 originally, or if it were 3 chapters of prevent all damage. Like, it's very good. Exactly. Thank you, Lion. So Lion just illustrated the point in numbers. +1 power means that it goes from handling 44% to 66%. And then it jumps it again from 66 to, I believe, 74. Like, that's pretty significant. That's true. Like, it lets Garnet attack every turn over and over again. And it lets the Alexander keep attacking. So like Garnet with Alexander means that they both attack at the same time. Garnet growing and the Saga being a 4/3 indestructible. 88% yeah. So if you put this on your 2/2, then you set your 2/2 now handles 44% of the creatures. If you put this on your 3/3, then your 3/3 now handles 88% of the creatures. It's big. Right. Every hero gets to use a Crystal Fragment. This is a set where Short Sword is good, and this card in particular is pretty great. I mean, I still gave it a 5. It's not, you don't take it over cards you need, but this is a great mana sink in the late game. That's true. So self-destruct button is target creature deals damage to itself and something else equal to its power. So the summon Alexander lets it live. Yeah. Crystal's Chosen. This card is just a little too expensive. If your deck gets to 7 mana reliably, this card is great. Like, this is 7 mana for 12-ish power. That's really hard to deal with. But 7 is a lot. It can't dodge or overkill Spoon. This is just expensive. If your deck gets to 7 mana, which white is not good at, right? White is not good at getting to 7 mana. White, and that's not necessarily because the games don't go long. It's because a lot of the, like, you do have landfall triggers, but there's so much rummaging, there's so many things to do with your extra lands that you don't really want to play that many lands. Like, you want to stop at 6 lands a lot of the time. That doesn't mean that this card is bad. This is a legitimate win con, and there's lots of little ways to combo with it. Like, one of the things I love about this set, one of the things that this set did really well, is so many of the bad cards that are bad in a vacuum end up comboing. Like, either combos with the Crystal's Chosen, and it's not an artifact deck. Like, you can build a blue-white go-wide deck that isn't an artifact deck, and you get to use the bad cards. Like, Crystal's Chosen plus Ether is a great deck. Love it. Yes, this is true. There's a lot of cool things. This is not an unplayable card. It is a high effort card. I mean, Ether with Chosen does win the game. I am okay. Like, your opponent can answer this. Your opponent, it's 4 2/2s. If you're not growing anything else, it's just 4 2/2s. That's great, but it is manageable. There's no repeatable ways to make tokens on single cards. There's lots of combinations of cards that let you make tokens. Hey, Dragon Jack, good to see ya. So this is a really cool card. It's worth building around. It is not good on its own, and it is not good in most of White's archetypes, but there's like side archetypes, things you can build around, which I'm pretty excited to do. Dragon Jack, I packed up your box and I did not ship it. I'm shipping it. I might be able to ship it in the morning. I'm really sorry. I was supposed to do it ages ago. I just had it on my desk. I thought I'd shipped it already. Hi, Minxie. Thank you so much for the raid. Really good timing. Density, good to see you. All right, so I'm sorry you didn't get the big viewer explosion. Today we are doing our Final Fantasy set review, which means I am only responding between slides. I do this specifically to be recorded. But yes, you got us between cards. This is a really cool set. I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. I mean, I play the games and they're fun, but I don't worship those games. And I hate Universes Beyond, but I am really loving this set, and kind of a lot. All right, so Crystal Chosen is it's sideways from the White archetypes, but it is a really cool build around. I'm glad. It plays really well. This is a really great set. All right, so up next we have the Delivery Moogle. So we've seen this kind of effect before. This card is a real toolbox. I'm gonna go ahead and raise the floor. So 4 mana to get an artifact with mana value 2 less from your graveyard or from your library. It's very hard to oh, thanks, Minxie. I appreciate it. I'm Scuffle. I do educational content. So 4 mana 3/2 flyer, actually solid. Like, it's a reasonable body in this set. It attacks pretty well. But it's a real toolbox. So you can build your deck such that the Moogle gives you card advantage or removal or a threat or an equipment. Like, there are good cards. You need to be prioritizing things really well. Sure thing, Minxie. Appreciate the raid. I'll see you around. So this is a good card for the toolbox. You have to build your toolbox. So I meant to raise the floor and raise the effort. If you're getting this just for card advantage, like if you're getting instant ramen every time, this card's not great. You want this card is good because of the toolbox. Yeah. Well, so this one is a good card because flying is rare. There's not enough flyers in this set. So you need to pick your flyers a little higher, and being able to have a flyer that self-enables your toolbox. So like, this is a flyer, if you're racing, you can grab the instant ramen. If you are just generating value, you can grab a missing combo piece. You can grab your 1/1 that gets more 1/1s. You can also grab an equipment that it lets this attack through whatever your opponent has. Like, this can come with size. You can grab an 8 mana sink with this card, but you have to put some effort into building that toolbox, and it's very good. Yeah, like picking up exactly what you need is something that the Moogle is capable of doing. It's a cool card. And the 3/2 flying body is very relevant. I gave this rating, the first rating, when I didn't understand how important and strong flying was in this set. But yeah, it's a floor of 4, ceiling of 6. Is usually going to be somewhere between there, and it's entirely dependent on how good your toolbox is that you have to reach into. This card is just really good. A 2 mana 2/1 flyer is a 5. The fact that it leaves behind an equipment that turns other things into flyers is great. It's only on offense, but this is probably the best job select equipment available. I haven't seen the rares yet, but this one's very strong. Yeah, 2/1 flyer, great. Putting it on any creature to make them +1/+0 flying this is an expensive equip cost, so like it's a very late game thing, but you're happy to have it sitting around until the late game. Every white deck wants this. The red white deck and the blue white deck want this so badly, but every white deck will play it. It's very good. Oh yeah, Dragonstorm had the most flyers at common and uncommon we've had in 6 or 7 sets. This is the fewest flyers we've had in a set since sets were 240 cards. Like, sets are 300 cards now. This has 18 flyers. Hang on. 16 flyers. There are only 16 creatures with flying in this set. That's the lowest we've had in modern Magic, in modern history. Yeah, floor of 5, ceiling of 7, average of 6. But flyers are I'd say all flying creatures are about a half a point higher just for having flying. Dwarven Castle Guard. This card's great in black-white. It's okay elsewhere. It's great if you need heroes. It's really important to have it. Like, this is probably black-white's most important common. I don't actually know where else I want it. So it's great in black-white. It's good with Gyat. I don't really want it outside of black-white or red-white. I think that means I'm lowering the value. Yeah. Like, it's okay in those sets. It's still better than the Coeurl. There's really not a lot in white that wants it. I'm lowering this to a 3. Black-white is a 5. Everywhere else is a 3. It's also like a playable 2-drop, but it does tend to trade. It's really good in red-white just because you get 2 bodies that wield equipment. No, that's enough for it to be a 4. It's great in red-white, great in black-white, weak in blue-white, weak in green-white. Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm glad we got another dwarf. This is a good removal spell. That's it. It just kills the thing. It's usually going to kill a creature. Being able to kill anything is pretty nice. 5 mana is kind of a lot to kill anything. So, like, usually this is a really great card at 3 mana, and it's pretty bad at 5 mana. But like, it's still a removal spell. You'll need removal spells at 5 mana. You want this in any defensive speed white deck. You are okay running it in any non-defensive speed white deck. Like, in any aggressive white deck is just going to be fine for you. In blue white, it's pretty nice to have the option of paying 5 mana for it. I know that's weird, but like, the option of spending more mana is a feature, not a bug, for blue white. So yeah, I'd say it's a 5 in blue white, a 6 in black white or green white, and then a 4 in red white. All right, this one I had to go and look at everything. Out of the 20 total creatures that can attack with flying, it kills non-land. Yes, that's true, Wingspear. There's just not a lot of targets for non-lands. Out of the 20 total creatures that attack with flying. So when I count the flyers, I counted total flyers like blockers as well. But I didn't count the things that are like not flyers often enough in some of the vehicles. Out of the, it's only 18 total. Sorry. All right, out of the 18 things that attack with flying, this profitably blocks 16 of them. So this is a brick wall. So this is a 5 mana brick wall that draws 1 to 2 cards every turn. This is a very strong card. I don't know this character. This is 9. I didn't play 9. Did he get more than 1 card? He might have got more than 1 card, Haiku. Also, hi, Wingspear. Oh, this is 14. Oh, you're right. Dyslexia is really rough for Roman numerals for me. But yes. Okay, I didn't play 14 either. Right. Yeah, Carl. So there's repeatable ways to make tokens, but none of them are solo. So it depends on the deck. Really good question. So GLP says, do I ever sideboard this out if they don't have flyers? Sometimes. Like, so you should assume your opponent has some flyers. The thing about this is this text is absurdly strong. Like, it makes it hard for your opponents to block. There are things that sacrifice themselves for free or for cheap. If you draw this, if this is a 5 mana 3/5, draw a card. That's great. That's so powerful in this format. That drawing a free card isn't free, but it is repeatable. Like, if I have a Sack Owlet, or even just bad attackers, like if I'm attacking, I'm okay attacking a hero into them to draw a card. This makes it a nightmare for your opponent to play the game, and it tracks both turns. You can draw a card with this on your turn and on your opponent's turn. That being said, if I don't have the Sack Owlets, so this is a 5. If I don't have the Sack Outlets and if my opponent doesn't have flyers, it's still good. It still makes it difficult for your opponent to attack things, and it makes it really hard for them to play the game unless they have a kill spell for this right now. But it also, like, you can draw 2 cards a turn cycle with this in the right deck. In black white, I'm gonna go ahead and raise the ceiling because in black white this is an 8. This is the best card I've seen so far for a black white sack deck. It doesn't count itself. So like there are a lot of good artifacts like that. There are a lot of bad artifacts that become a lot better with it. So like this is really good in blue white too, because blue white is so good at finding things like blue white is great at making full use of things like instant ramen or treasures. If you have a treasure, every treasure draws you a card. It makes like Lunatic Pandora almost playable. Like every treasure draws you a card. And yeah, a few artifacts self-sacrifice like instant ramen. Foods, treasures, all of these things make this card better. So I gave it a 6. It might even be better than that because of how well it blocks. I'm bumping this up. I think this should be a 7. It's really good. Like the fail case of this only drawing you 1 card is so strong still. Yeah, it's a value creature that's hard to kill. Like the red spells tend to deal 4 damage, so I'm happy with it. Yeah, I talked myself up and all of you were helpful in that. It's like I'll splash this often. I'll splash this in a black green deck. Gale Cat. This is a good card with 2 artifacts in play and a bad card without 2 artifacts in play. It's just how, so Haiku, it is a 6.5. Reach is just worth half a point in this set. But yeah, this is a great card if you can have 2 artifacts in play, and it's a bad card if you can't. Like a 3 mana 1/3 fire is terrible. A 3 mana 3/3 fire is great. I would play a second one every time, Carl. I would play 5 copies of this in my deck because you can still cycle it. If you have one in play and one in your hand, you can cast the second one and it'll cycle. I wouldn't play 5. I'd play 3 every time. I play 4 some of the time. Yeah. All right. Yeah, really good card if you it is other. Yes, sorry March. If you have, this is not a good card. It's not even restricted to the blue white artifacts deck. It is great in the blue white artifacts deck. But you can make this work in any deck provided you have the equipment for it or the artifacts for it. It's not a given, but like green white will have artifacts some of the time. You just got to pay attention and keep count. Magitech Armor. This card's just good. It's a 4 mana 4/4 that leaves a 1/1. Like, think of this as a 4 mana 4/4 that dies into a 1/1. Your opponent can stop you from crewing it, but it's hard. This is a good card. Like, it's a 4 mana 4/4. The cat does hold equipment well. Yes. Like, the thing is, so a lot, or we'll go back to the cat. That's okay, Carl. This is important enough to talk about. So this does hold equipment well, but it's not worth evaluating on the face of one equipment because the decks that want enough equipment to make it work will always be able to put have 2 artifacts in play. Like, it's really good. It's a really good card in the artifacts deck, and on average, it's going to be solid. It's just not a free pick. Like, I might pick it early because I know I can get equipment after that, and I might pick equipment, like, I might pick it because I already have a lot of equipment, but this is a good flyer. All right, Magitech Armor, just efficient. There's not a lot to say about this one. Like, it's an artifact. It crews itself. It's basically a 4/4 because you can crew it often enough. It's not strictly a creature, but it is an artifact creature, and this is a good value for 4 mana. I'm happy to play it. Ooh, okay. Love this. I love this card so much. I love that it's here. This one's really weird. This is going to have a cycle of play. This card is bad if you have 1 copy of it. It's fine if you have 2 copies of it. It's a 7 if you have 3 copies of it. It's still a 7 if you have 4 copies of it, and so on and so on and so on. Love it so much. I love that this card is here. Kind of hate the art. Right. So like the fact, like, Don't okay, two content creators that I follow. So I always look at the content after I've given the ratings, and they call this the best white common, up there for best common. I don't think that's true. I think telling people that this is the best common makes it worse. It's a purely psychological thing. Like, if I were to sit here and tell you this is a 10, this is the best card in the set, it would stop being a 10 by the fact that I just told 25 people that this is the best card in the set. Love that. It's so cool. Like, it's a prisoner's dilemma at the start of the draft. People are comparing to Whisper Squad. Whisper Squad is very different because Whisper Squad is an Ikoria card. It's a 1 mana 1/1. You pay 2 mana to go get another Whisper Squad, and that was meant to sell. That enabled like Obosh. Like, that card worked for Obosh. That card worked for companions, and that card worked because you had sack outlets. Sack outlets aren't free, so this card is great in black white. It's great in blue white. It's fine in red white. It's a good mana sink. Right. It's not going to be, so it's going to be too much to make it work. It's not going to be too much to make it work. It's going to be too much to double activate it. And it's not terrible if you just draw it. Like, a lot of the times you'll see these cards like Tempest Hawk in the last set. The reason Tempest Hawk was bad wasn't because it was a weak card. Like, it was because you don't want to put 8 Tempest Hawks in your deck. You don't want to draw this. If you draw 3 of your Magitech infantries, it's not the worst thing. Like, I do think you want 3 copies of this card. It's playable with 2 copies, but it's not good until you hit the 3rd copy, and then it's great. Really fantastic design. Like, if everybody were sleeping on this, if everybody were like, this card's bad, I would tell you this is a 7. And if everybody were like, this card is amazing, then I would tell you this card is a 3. Like, this is such a unique thing. The content creation sphere helps determine how good this card is. I do play it on turn 1. Like, you want this to be a 2/1 attacker. Especially because if I have enough, I'm likely to draw another one. I love this card. It's so cool. I think this is an accurate rating. I think this rating will remain accurate regardless of how many people are playing it. No, because if you have the job select weapons, it'll still be a 1 mana 2/1. Like, the fact is, a 1 mana 2/1 is not good enough. There's 1/3s and 1/4s in this set. But being able to double it up and block is great, because now your 2/1s eat the 1/3s and 1/4s on blocks. Really cool card. Be aware of it. Don't treat it as a 3, but don't pick it unless you're prepared to keep picking it. Like, it is a common. Multiple people at a table will be able to play it, but not more than 2. All right, Paladin's Arms. This is just a 4. I had this at 4, and then I raised it, and then I lowered it again. This is a good this is only good when you care about the artifact. But a 3 mana 3/2 ward 1 is a good body, and then it leaves back. This is a relevant equip. Like, 4 mana to put this on a flyer is worth it. A lot of the equipments are not. Like, 3 mana to give a creature +1/+0 isn't worth it. But this is worth the mana investment, so I'm happy to toss it around. But I still want to be an equip deck if I'm gonna play it. Cool card, good equipment, good when you want artifacts, bad otherwise. The ceiling's probably still just a 5. Yeah, I dropped both. I was overvaluing the ward early. Then I finished looking at the removal, and it's not, the ward 1 is not quite enough. It's not nothing, but most of the things that will be killing what the flyer you put this on in the late game make it matter less. Yeah, so let's talk about the ward 1. On turn 3, it means that your opponent's not going to be able to kill it for 2 mana, not easily. And by the time they can kill the 1/1 with ward 1, is not going to matter. But it does start mattering once you put it on flyers later on. It means that you can tap out a little more often to do it. The reason that the ceiling is high is that there's some equipment cheats. If you have the ways to cheat this equipment cost, it gets great right away. Good evaluation, Spoon. Thanks for keeping an eye on that overkill stats. We want to know if the percentage of creatures that overkill kills ever drops. And just for everybody else, This set has one spell that deals 8 damage, and that 8 damage spell, because 100% of creatures in the set. So just logically, that means that the spell that deals 999 damage needs to kill a much higher percentage of creatures in the set. We'll go ahead and raise that. We can do 900%. You're right, but I needed to raise it. That number was wrong. Maybe it just drops it to 200%. That's how that works. That's math. Oh, here I am scrolling through the multicolored cards. Phoenix Down. So this is a contextual card. In this set, there are 0 skeletons, 1 spirit, 1 zombie. So essentially, this is an artifact that returns a creature with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's not bad. It is not free though. So like 3 mana, pick up a mana value 4. You want to know what your targets are, and the thing is, white, this isn't a free card because like you can have decks with 0 3-drops because you're playing Paladin's Arms or Equipments and all of those, and even a lot of the 4-drops don't get picked up by the Phoenix Down. So it's a combo card. The second line of text is very rarely relevant, if at all. And this first line of text is work. If you're picking up a 2-drop, it feels really bad. But like if I'm picking up my Delivery Moogle, where'd you go, Delivery Moogle? I'm pretty happy. So like it is, and it's a good card with that, but it's not something I want to take without that. I might go ahead and raise, like I'm trying to remember what other things I've evaluated. So this is either 263 or 264 with medium effort, based entirely on how many 4 mana rares I want to pick up with it. So we are giving it a revisit. Yes, so it is tapped, but the instant speed matters a lot. So GLP says that it might not matter as much, or is questioning that it matters that it's instant. It does matter. You're right that it doesn't block, but being able to let my creature die on my opponent's turn blocking and then pick it up is something I'm happy to see. Very cool card. Really, really situational. Like, it's just not a free thing. Yes. So if I had to guess, it didn't. So exiling is flavorful because Phoenix Down and is consumed. If it didn't exile, then it probably created too many loops with the Delivery Moogle. If it didn't exile, I would first pick this, grab a Delivery Moogle, and then you have an instant combo that just for a creature that never dies and flies. Cool card, not free. Restoration Magic, very efficient spell. Like, this is 1 mana, save a creature from death, full stop. 2 mana, save a creature from death, gain 3 life. 5 mana, this can be really good. I gave it a 4, floor of 3, ceiling of 6. You can do the mana value 5, 4 or greater, and you're pretty happy with it. 6 life is a lot. This can win you the game. This is a very strong combat trick. It's just that combat tricks aren't always worth it. Like, this is the when you have things worth. Joint Exploration, thank you so much for the follow. So when you have things worth playing, you're really happy to have this, and you need to evaluate what you have that's worth saving. It's a so I don't know what you mean by Canadians, but if you're talking about specifically Court of Calls, Court of Calls is one of the best players I know for helping you play your way. So you should respect his opinions, especially on combat tricks in general. But the thing about Court of Calls is here. I want to talk about this. I think it's worth talking about. So really quick, Joint Exploration, thank you so much for the raid. I am doing my set review today, so I'm sorry you didn't get the big explosion, but I'm still really grateful, and we're still going to go ahead and shout you out. I'm Scuffle. I do educational content. So today we are doing the Final Fantasy set review that is specifically how to draft and get the picks up, and I take questions and address people between slides. So, Court of Calls and Mark are 2 of the best, specifically card evaluators. Like, they're both great players, but their card evaluation is something else. If you go through So they aren't really wrong about things as much as they say we're going to evaluate this later. So I haven't heard them. I haven't listened to their work yet for this set, but if I had to guess, they gave this the 3 full on. Like they gave this the floor rating, which in their system would be a D plus or C minus. So I would imagine that they gave this a D plus or C minus, but then said something along the lines like, we'll see how combat shapes up. So I would also guess, I started Lords of Limited, I didn't finish it. I would also guess that Lords of Limited ended up giving this card a C flat, because they like protecting their spells. And Chord of Calls has a philosophy more along the lines of every spell should be impactful. But I'm willing to bet that Chord comes up on this after playing with it, because they are looking, both Chord and Lords of Limited are probably looking at this more of they're probably looking at this as more of a Magitech infantry style set. We're setting up synergistic attacks. I don't think this is going to be an aggressive set. I think this is going to be a mid-range set, and therefore I value the cards that are flexible like this a lot more highly, because this is a really good card against an aggressive deck, because gaining that 3 life on the block is really valuable, but it's also a really good card in terms of setup. Like I value this flexibility, so I did end up giving this, I probably gave this 1 rating higher than what Chord and Mark gave it, and that's because I incorporate the ceiling so much. This has a really high ceiling because 5 mana when this combat gains 6 life is so valuable. Like I don't think this is like, this has a lot of homes, both in places where you can draw cards. Like I'm happy to play this card when I drew a bunch of cards and I need cheap spells that affect the game. And I'm happy to play this when I just paid 4 mana to equip a creature to enable 1 attack. So like, I think this is a good card in this set. But I'm not as high on it as it looks like I am. I just gave it a very high ceiling. Oh, yes. Blanking removal is worth it. When your spells are valuable. So I don't think this hits that ceiling of a 6 unless you have the value creatures. Oh, this one's not gonna work. I don't think this is worth, like, this is worth blanking. The thing about this set is, let's talk about the synergies a little bit. Because when you're synergizing in a set, when a set is a synergy set, there are 2 kinds of synergy you're looking at. So there's the general kind where everything you're sacking matters. Like this works with anything that sacks itself. Like there are lots of interchangeable pieces. It's not puzzle pieces. Like they're not jigsaw puzzle pieces. They're just, I want some things to sacrifice. I want some things that reward that. But there are also cards in this set, like Garnet is really important. It works with any of the sagas. If you have 5 sagas, then none of them are as important as Garnet is. So when you have the latter, when you have this creature is much more important than any of my other creatures, it makes all of my other sagas better, that's when you want this spell. But it's still only a 4. Like it's still only a good combat trick. Just happens to have a high ceiling. Whew. Oh, I think this card's bad. I want this card to be good. I really want this card to be good. I tried so many different shells and looking at so many different cards to make it good. Like this land is fantastic. Sacrifice an artifact to put a counter on everything for 3 mana or just be a land, so strong. But you just don't have any control over it when it flips. At best, it flips next turn and you're not going to have anything to eat with it. At worst, you hit 3 lands and lose the game because you played a spell that doesn't do anything. If it was at the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 1, I would play it. But like, it's all or nothing. Either you get a land that requires you to also have a bunch of creatures and an artifact in play, or you get nothing. It does nothing. You can build your deck with enough creature density that it's playable, but that's a lot of work. Like building your deck without any of the instants or sorceries, then it's worth it. Yes, it does give you a food token to eat, but I'm not playing this card if I only get 1 activation. Overall, it's not a good card. You'll have games, you'll lose to this. People will play this card and flip it on the turn it comes into play, and then immediately win the game with it. But you'll also die because you ran this card and it just doesn't flip for 3 turns, and I can't get behind that. I am evaluating this as someone who frequently has to win the game after drawing 7 lands in a row. Like, I'd say once in every 8 games I have to win despite 7 consecutive lands. Like, at 2 mana, I think I would play it. Like, no, so I don't think this is for an aggressive green, white, or red, white decks, because when do you cast this? If you're a red, white equipment deck, when do you have time to cast this? Because it's not on turn 5 when you're throwing an equipment around to an attack. And it's not on turn 3 when you'd literally rather have any body in play. I don't think it has a place. Right. If you have the luck stat, go for it. If you are confident it'll flip right away, go for it. But like, I think that this not flipping for 1 turn is fine. If you don't flip this twice, you have lost. You will lose the game. This isn't a set that you have to impact the board. It's not a speed set, but everything is building off of itself so much that like, you're gonna lose because you didn't have a play in the early turns and you're not gonna realize it. Like, giving your opponent a turn off lets them move their equipment. That's gonna be a loss a lot of the time. All right. Up next, we have Slash of Light. This is just a kill spell. Like, it's trivially easy to make this deal 2 damage, which is fine. And it's not hard to make it deal 5, 6, 7 damage. And then it's great. It's a cool card. It's just an efficient removal spell for white. Most white decks are going to be pretty happy to play this because it is... Oh, I did misread it. It's not number of creatures plus number of artifacts. It's number of creatures plus number of equipment. We're keeping the rating, but like it's going to be a 3 in more decks than I thought. It's great in red white, it's great in green white, it's okay in blue white. Yes, it is definitely better. I think I'm lowering this to a 4. I did misread it because I thought this was great in the blue white deck. It's just okay in the blue white deck, but it's great in the red white deck, and it's pretty good. Like, I'd say it's a 5 in the red white, 4 in blue white, and green white, 3 in black white. But you can build any deck so that it has the tokens. I'm running out of breath, I'm talking too much. All right, Snow of Iliers. This card, I think, is deceptively weak. It's hard to jump a creature. It's hard to make a creature evasive, like give it unblockable. So this is a 3 mana 3/3. Often it will trade up. Like, it does make it hard for your opponent to attack with giant creatures, but your opponent just doesn't have to attack with giant creatures. If you can make it huge, great. If you can't, it's still gonna be fine. Like, a 3 mana 3/3 is good. A 3 mana 5/3 is still just a 5. So a 3 mana 5/3 is a 5. A 3 mana 1/3 or 2/3 is unplayable, and a 3 mana 3/3 with vigilance is good. So just be aware, like, it's not creatures plus equipment, it's just creatures. This card is a fine 3-drop, not a great one. In the late game, it will usually end up trading up. Like, you can treat this as a 3/3 Death Touch, right? Yes, and it's not a bad card. Like, there are go wide decks, but this one, if it had trample, it would be fantastic. I love this art. Agreed. Summon Choco. So this one is in play for a while. This is a great Anthem creature. It's a 3 mana 3/3 that pumps your creatures. This is for the go wide deck, and it's really good in the go wide deck. You would play a 3 mana 3/3 that pumped creatures when it came into play. You would not play a 3 mana 3/3 that pumped creatures when it came into play with Vanishing, but it does pump the creatures every turn. This is a really good Garnet Sagas card, right? This is a really good go wide card in general. Not every white deck is gonna be going wide. You need to figure out if your white deck is going wide, if it's putting out a lot of creatures that you need to win with early. The sooner you can figure it out, the better. This card's so good. So I have this as the best white card. Tied for the best white card. It is tied for the best white card with Tia, but it is very good. It kills a creature, it's flyer, which is relevant. Giving a creature flying, like I just said, there's no good way to jump. There's not a lot of good ways to jump creatures. This is one of them. So this card is a 5, specifically when you have the Garudas. Really good with Garnet. Really good with Garuda. This might be the best thing with Garnet. This is up there. I mean, that's valid. Like, it's not a free thing. I think a lot of the people who are... Okay, so flying is abnormally good in this set. Only 16 creatures in this set have flying. All right, so that makes this the third card that I have massive disagreements with other content creators on it. And you might notice that the cards that I disagree the most with other content creators tend to have flying. Ooh, but it's not only being able to attack once, Theo, it's being able to attack 3 times, right? It's 1, 2, 3. You get 3 attacks. This card is the target creature gets +1/+0 and flying until end of turn, is incredibly powerful in this set. No, 2 attacks because it gives something else flying. Here, really quick, just as a demonstration. Common, uncommon cards. Oracle. Flying. 21 cards with the card flying. This one costs 7 mana. This one is bad. Dragoon's Lance is one of the best cards in the set. Summon Primal Groot is one of the best cards in the set. Or I have it as one. Look how few flyers there are. Black has 1. Black has 1 flyer. Blue has 2 vehicles. So 3, we're going to count it as 3 vehicles. Blue has 1, 2, 3, 4 flyers. White has 1, 2, 3, 4 flyers. One doesn't block his flying. Yes, the jump is why this card is so valuable. The jump is huge. Like, this is one of the other cards I disagreed with people a lot. Yes, it enables 2 attacks. The card, the enabling of these attacks is why it's so good. Like, yes, it's situational. You get to jump Garnet, you get to jump your Chocomog, you get to jump, like, it makes a lot of bad cards better, and it makes a lot of good cards great, and it kills a thing. Like, it does kill a thing. And in a lot of sets, dealing 4 damage to a tapped creature might be something that we say isn't good enough. This set has the average number of things that tap or lock down a creature in a set is 3. It's 2. No, it's 2. Most sets have 2 things that will tap a creature or stun a creature. This set has 8. There are 8 stuns in this set. There are 8 ways to tap down an opposing creature, 3 of which are in white. So this isn't even as restricted as you thought. Notice I do have it as the ceiling, right? Like, this card is a 7 with a ceiling of 7. I just usually think it's going to play at the ceiling of 7, but I kept the medium effort because you still have to plan around it. I didn't dumb down any sagas, right? Like, so the sagas are all hard to play with gameplay wise, not deck wise. In your game, it is difficult to play with this card, but it's worth the effort because this is kill a creature, attack for 3 in the air, and enable 2 attacks. These jumps are way more about, like, I would play jump in this set. Like, take another look. There's nothing in this set. There's no target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. There's no untap a creature, put a flying counter on it. There are 0 instant speed, give a creature flying in this whole set. There might be a give a creature reach. Nope. In this entire set, there is not one card, there's not one combat trick that gives target creature reach or target creature flying. There's not one flash creature that you flash into block a flyer. This is true. Kill a tap creature, like, I don't think, like, this is going to be a... Where is it? Where's the other one? Where are you? This one. So, Fate of the Suncrest. We see this kind of card a lot. These defensive speed removal spells. Destroy target all impairment for 5 mana, but it's only 3 mana. So, if it's 5 mana, this is a 4. If it's 3 mana, this is a 6. And that means that you have to want it to be a 3. But this is a lot worse in an aggressive deck, but it's not bad in an aggressive deck because it's still a 3/3 fire that jumps 2 creatures and might kill you. It just changes what you kill. You're going to kill something smaller. But a lot of the aggressive decks are still going to be tapping things down. Like, even there are so many, like, if you just attack with Titus, you get to kill something that would have blocked. All right, so I guess that means that this is the fourth card that I have the biggest disagreement on with other content creators. What were the last ones? So just to see, maybe I'll let people bet on it. So in Dragonstorm, my biggest card disagreements were Dragonstorm Globe, which I thought was great. Sib Sig Appraiser, which I thought was medium, and they all thought it was the best. Like, I put Sib Sig Appraiser as medium, and everyone else thought it was great. The stats tell me I'm right on both of those. And then what was the third one? Gurmagging, the Sultai one, the Sultai two-bid card. I think is great. I love it. I also like, I'm competitive. I like betting. I like comparing myself. People should disagree. If everybody thought the cards were the same, like that, I like modern set design. A lot of people don't like it. The reason I think Court of Calls is the best draft content creator is his. So I don't think LSV and Marshall are good for beginners, but they tell you one way to play the cards. Lords of Limited are better for medium players because they give you a good way to play the cards, but it's always their way. I think Alex is the best at it because his evaluations let you play the game that you want to play. They let you play your style. And that's the whole goal of my system, is to match your style. Like, that's why I give you so many different numbers. Like, my system is for more advanced players because you can't come in blind and play this card perfectly. Like, I'm trusting you to know how to pull the most value out of this Garuda, but I think it's really good. I put the Dragonstorm somewhere in the middle. So Sib Sig Appraiser, GLP is it is really good. So I gave it the equivalent of a B-, and most people gave it an A- or a B+. And I think it's settled around a B-. Like, I think it's settled closer to my evaluation. And that's because not every blue deck wanted Sib Sig Appraiser every time, and you weren't going to splash it. Lots of people thought you were going to splash Sib Sig Appraiser. So it was a disagreement technically, but it wasn't, I thought it was bad and other people thought it was good. It was, I think that there's a lot of decks where you want to take a 3-mana 4/2 over a 3-mana 2/1 that draws a card. Ooh, all right. Weapons Vendor. Cool card, a little bit of work. Like, a 4-mana 2/2 draw card is actually not good enough in this set. It's close, but your rate matters so much. There's a lot of 4-mana 4/4s, 4/3s, and so on, that you really want to get the value of the second ability. 1-mana equip is good. You just have to put some work in. So that floor of a 4, that's if it's a 4-mana 2/2. That ceiling of a 6 is if it's a 4-mana 2/2 that also lets you equip your Paladin's Arms. Like turn 3 Paladin's Arms, turn 4 Weapons Vendor is really good. This card is just, it's not even about being in the equipment deck or not, or any of the archetypes. You play this card if you have the job select equipment. You don't, I mean, you'll still play it if you don't, but you won't pick it over other things. So this is a good example of I am a little lower on this card. I am lower on this card than other content creators, but only in the sense that my system is better for evaluating this card than other content creators. I think the 6 is true regardless. Like, you want, the value of equipment is in moving it around, right? Like, playing this, the reason that it's so good with, I gotta find it. The reason that this card is so good with your Paladin's Arms isn't because you want it to be wearing the Paladin's Arms. It's because you want to be moving it. Like, you want to be playing it, you want to be attacking with a creature and then moving it around to block. And the reason an expensive equipment cost is bad isn't because you never want to put the mana in. It's because it's hard to do twice in a turn. Yeah, so GLP, this rating being different and lower than other content creators isn't because I think the card is worse than the other content creators. It's because my system is just flat out better for evaluating this card than other content creator systems. I think giving a card a single rating is absurd and wrong almost all the time. But it makes sense, especially if you don't have video content, and it takes a lot less time. Yeah, but like, I think all of the content creators gave this a 6 flat out because it is a really good card. Like, you want to be evaluating this card against what you've drafted already. Oh my god, I'm trying so hard to convince the Lords of Limited to use my rating system. I actually love... Hang on, give me just a sec. We've got 4 cards left, and we'll talk about rating systems. I like that, GLP. We should talk. All right, White Auracite. Really cool card. Great removal spell. Less fragile than in other sets. So in other sets, in the last set, actually, Stormplane Detainment was pretty weak. And that's not because it was a bad card. It was because it was really easy to crack open. So many cards dealt with that. That's not the case here. Not a lot of the things that bounce permanents actually target permanents. They bounce creatures specifically. And most of the things that would kill this also kill other spells. And this is valuable. This 1 mana, this is worth it. Having a land that does it is huge. Being an artifact is huge. Being a 4 mana non-creature spell is huge. I'm raising this ceiling. We're keeping the rating, but I'm raising the ceiling. Yes, and it's a common. This card's very good. It just does all the things. It's an artifact, it has mana value 4, and it's a removal spell, and it's ramp, just good. I'm raising the floor too. It should have all been higher, but I'm keeping it as a 6. It's tough for me to take this over a card that I need to make my deck work. You always play this if you're white, though. It does remove actual boats here. All right, White Mage's Staff, pretty average, but it's an equipment. Like 2 mana, 2/2 attack to gain a life on an artifact is solid. You play it if you need the artifacts. You play it if you need the equipments. You don't care so much about the life gain. The +1/+1 is nice, but it's a lot for 3 mana. Just good job, select card. But it's mostly just fine. You're Not Alone. Very efficient trick. Not a lot. Like, you should assume it's a 3 if it gives +2/+2. It's a 5 if it gives +4/+4. 1 mana tricks are good when you're drawing a lot of cards. You don't have a lot of room for this kind of low impact spell, but you do want cards like this. I think it's this is better than Curaga in an aggressive deck and worse than Curaga otherwise. Zach Flair. This one's getting a revisit from me. I kind of love it, but I can't tell. My love for this card is impacting the rating somewhat. It's better the more things you have to grow with it, but moving its counter is great. I like this card a lot. Like, protecting a creature and putting a counter on it is awesome when it's already been in play for a while. It's a really cool card. But yeah, it's getting a revisit. It really depends on how much equipment you have. It does indeed save your Garnet, which I'm happy about. Yes, if you want to sacrifice it, it's great. If there's things that you want to sacrifice, it's great. If I first pick a Tia, I will second pick a Zach. They're just so good together. Yes, and you can put counters on it. This is the only thing, as far as I could tell, that cares about counters. Like, putting a +1/+1 counter or 2 on it is really good. And this is the card out of all the things I'm revisiting that I'm most likely to raise, but I gotta play with it. And speaking of that, tomorrow is the early access streamer event. I am starting by 11:30 a.m. I will try to start sooner. It depends on how fast I can install the client. That means that I have access to the cards, and I will be drafting all day with some of the best plays in the world. And it's a really cool way to see how some of these things line up. You can see how some of my ideas line up against theirs. That is going to do it for today's set review. We will finish tomorrow's early access, and we will finish the other 3 colors on Thursday. I'm trying to put out a review, a guide. If I can't, I want to write on Thursday, so I might do some writing on Thursday, and in which case we'll do the rest of the set review on Friday. GLP, I don't know. Let me ask Sam real quick. We're going to go ahead and end the recording, but we're not ending the stream.